Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this chaotic WSL season review. It is completely my fault that we are nearly 20 minutes late. I am so sorry. As you can see, I'm not in my usual podcaster board. I am, in fact, in a castle. So I am going to be blaming the castle Wi-Fi for this, but we've finally got it working. So if I look a bit strange and if I do freeze, I do apologise. But what I'm having to do is look at my phone for the video and audio, and I've got my laptop up for the graphics. But yeah, thank you so much for bearing with us while we got through those technical difficulties, because what a show we do have in store for you this evening. So yes, so as we said, it is our WSL review show. As you can see, we've got some plenty of faces on the screen already, and we can't wait to get started. We've got some people making their podcast debut, and we've got some familiar returning faces as well. Now, let's have a look then, shall we? So we are going to be spoiling you rotten. We're going to be channeling our inner Limp Bizkit as we keep rolling through our guests this evening. You are all welcome, and hopefully we won't be giving out as many red cards as the Brazil versus USA friendly that happened last night / this morning. But of course, before we get into anything, we need to say a massive hello to the lovely panel joining us this evening. So let's start with Paul. I know you're all right. We see you every week. And we thank you very much for coming back. However, you may spot two familiar faces at the bottom there. We've got Duncan from Sheagulls. Duncan, how you doing, mate? Good to see you again.
Good, thank you very much. Good to be back.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for being back and making his pod debut, I believe. We've got the lovely Barry from All for United / All for Warful. If you see us on a Monday. Barry, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing what joys and delights we got. It's very weird being on StreamYard and not having all of the bits and pieces.
The controls.
I've just covered off the comments because otherwise I'll be tempted to go, why can't I click on that comment and have a go at this person? I don't know. So it's going to be very exciting to see what's going on. But thank you very much for the invite. I'm very much looking forward to chatting all things footy with you.
Exactly. No, it'd be lovely to have that chat. And of course, we've got the lovely Adam. Adam, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing very well, thanks. Glad to be on. One final chin wag before we properly break up for summer, and much to discuss.
I know, it's like final day of school. We should have all brought our shirts to sign as we sign off. And of course, Paul. And of course, Paul. I can't skip you, can I? How are you doing, mate?
Ticking along beautifully, and I might actually be vaguely nice about Manchester United if we've got Barry on.
Oh, what? Oh, Barry, what a special night. A special night indeed.
If he agrees with me on Mark Skinner, you might get double the ranting. So
I was going to say we do want to finish before midnight, so maybe that's a stone we can leave turned.
I've been ordered as well because Kerry, my partner, has said it's not going to be a long one tonight. I'm like, it's the WSL season review. She's just gone, oh no.
No, so yes. So the format for this evening is that, as I mentioned, we're going to be having rolling guests come on. So I gave various timings to different people. However, we're 20 minutes behind schedule already, so we're just going to see what happens. So people are either going to come on, stay on for a little bit, pop off when they want to. They're going to come on, talk about their club, and then leave when they're done. Or they're just going to pop in and stay, like we mentioned, for a good old chat about multiple clubs. But before we begin, you might have noticed our layout looks a bit different this evening. So it's just a reminder that Monday to Thursday, you can normally, during the season, find our different football podcasts. But of course, tomorrow night, we are going to be starting our Men's World Cup coverage. So do tune into the channel for that. We've got loads and loads of watch-alongs planned, and there's the whole team of us. So from across the four shores, we're all going to be hopping on and helping out with the men, because we've got to watch the men at sometimes, don't we? Because they play football too. There we go. But yes, so good evening to Chris is in the chat. Evening to Tom. Evening to Claire. Simon, lovely to see you. Graham, lovely, saying no apologies necessary. I do appreciate that, mate. Sean, not quite. I've still got time. I've still got time before before the World Cup starts. We've got a Linda in the chat. Evening, Linda. Thanks for joining us. And keep the dream alive. Yes, that's what we need to do this evening, despite the chaos of technology. So yes. And Jackie, I can't remember if I said good evening, but good evening to you. However, you just told me my Limp Bizkit joke will get me a red card. So, so maybe we'll move swiftly on, won't we, for that one? Right then. So why don't we, Barry? We'll come to you first, mate, as our debutante, as it were. So I'm just going to quickly, because look, for every team, we've got some lovely little graphics here. To show recent form, as you can see, goals, top goal scorer, and of course the manager. Paul is going to print this off and take it home with him for the summer.
We'll laminate it and everything.
Laminate it. Oh, like you're at school. Wonderful indeed. Now, Barry, then coming to you. So finishing fourth. I know United, of course, we've seen the talent that they've obviously brought in, and we've said, especially during the World Sevens as well, it was so lovely to see them be so free and so creative with their play. So no leading questions at all. How has the season gone for you? Any highlights that particularly stand out? And was fourth what you envisaged at the start of the season?
Well, no, it wasn't quite what I envisaged at the start of the season. No, but then with Manchester United, it's very hard to think of what you could be envisaging other than finishing fourth. That generally tends to be the job for Manchester United. I think, it's been a topsy-turvy season. If you asked me this question in December, everything's looking up. You had a fantastic debut season in the Champions League, which I think was, without question, the highlight for Manchester United fans everywhere. Just being in it was lovely, but to make it all the way to the quarterfinals was even better. And I think there were potentially a few opposition fans who were maybe having a little bit of squeaky bums, thinking, no, they can't, can they? That would be outrageous. And they were right, we couldn't. But it would have been very fun had we just upset a few more people, maybe made it into the semis or even a final. That would have been exciting. But, I think we did incredibly well in that debut season. So I think that is, without question, the highlight. The problem was always going to be squad depth. We didn't have enough people. We didn't manage to name enough people on the bench at ridiculous times. It only took a few injuries. And that was always going to be a drama, I think, for United. And so it proved to be. Once we had a few injuries, that really was all she wrote, really. We were struggling to put players out at the right place and at the right time. We were naming youngsters and not using them. We've had 2 goalkeepers on the bench for the whole season. And I can't. I'm a very level-headed man, but I don't understand 2 goalkeepers on the bench. It's lovely if you want to bring a goalkeeper along to do some warming up and doing all that sort of thing. But I will never understand, what are the chances of you losing 2 goalkeepers in one game? It's like...
No, that's a good point, yeah.
We barely lose one. So unless you're bringing one of them up front, which was a very real possibility at one point, there's no point having 2 goalkeepers. It's pathetic. So, yes, they filled the bench for a while, but once we had players that could go on the bench, I don't think that was really necessary. I'm not one of those that will just jump on the back of Mark Skinner. I do think that the club has done reasonably well with the limitations that are set on us from above, and the fact that we do seem to have an ownership that, from what I can see, just doesn't really seem to give a toss about how we get on or what we do. We're just very much left to our own devices. Oh, yes, there's the girls, they play over there. We've given them a brand new bit in Carrington, that'll do. Other than that, there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of interest in investing. And that's always going to be the problem. And when you talk about the WSL, I think it's a real drama that you would probably need to ban transfers for the rest of the WSL that finish first, second and third for a whole season to give United that opportunity to catch up, because they are just further forward. Arsenal are, well, not anymore, but they were the champions of Europe, and Man City have pulled themselves back around and they've become the champions of England, and Chelsea, up to that point, were 6 times champions of England on the trot. So we're 8 years old. You know, you wouldn't expect an 8-year-old to go off and win a trophy, would you? You know, we're English, so we've had people like Andy Murray and Tim Henman trying to win things. It's not the way it works. You've got to give it a bit of time. But I do think that the time is starting to come where fans have the right to expect United to do better and to be more competitive. And it's just frustrating when it seems like it's people from above that are stopping it. Having said that, there's been some superb performances across the pitch. I think Elizabeth Turland has had a really good season, which makes it even weirder that as the top goal scorer across all competitions, we've chosen to say, oh, we'll listen to offers for this lady. Absolutely. If you fancy taking Elizabeth Turland, please do.
Yeah, that's just mad, isn't it? Because if you, just like you were saying there about, the higher ups don't seem to really care about that investment. Surely investing in a player like Turland, like they did, surely you want to keep that, and you want to keep the results that she's bringing, that output.
You would think so. It's absolutely wild. We brought that. Leah Schuller came in, and she got barely any time, which was quite crazy. We brought in Ellen Rangerheim, and we decided to stick her outright, and that really did not seem to be her skill set at all.
Yeah.
And you just end up with a load of fans that are like, oh, well, she's not very good. And it's actually, are we playing her in the right position? You know, if you bought a screwdriver and you used it as a saucepan, that would struggle also. So you kind of need to think about what you're using the tool that you bought for. Like, it's not rocket science. So I just think it's wild. It blows my mind how some people view the game. But hey, listen, that's what it's all about. People have the opportunity to have their own opinions, and it doesn't make mine any better than theirs. But on the scale of it, I'm not depressed about what's happened. I am disappointed with the ending. I think we could have done better against Chelsea this season, more so than any other season. That the most wide open they could have been this year. We haven't taken any advantage of that. We drew with them once. We lost to them 3 times. And then, just for the fun of it, we let them win the World Sevens right at the very end as well, having been 4-1 up. I mean...
that was heartbreaking to watch that.
You get bogey teams, Freya, but this is beyond bogey teams now. Like, this is just a side that I genuinely am starting to get frustrated about. But listen, I think all told, it's not been a terrible season. But Mark Skinner is going to be clearly under review now. He's got 1 season left. There's not much talk about renewing his contract as yet. And I think if he has another season like this season, obviously there'll be no Europe. But if there's not something else in the bank, I think we could very well see a new person at the helm of United. But I will still be just as excited. Looking forward to seeing how we're getting on. Jess Park was a revelation.
Well, I was just going to say, Tom in the chat there, saying Jess Park for me was one of the big standouts. And she hasn't she? She's been superb. Would she be one of your favourite players this season, would you say?
Without a question. I've said on All for United WFC that she's already my favourite player, possibly my favourite player that's ever played for the club. Just she gets the ball. It's like watching a kid just playing football out with their mates. You know, there was one game that I watched her in. She was running back towards her own goal and then just turned around and started running back again. And you're like, this is crazy. She's actually so good and so confident. She scored some excellent goals. And again, you want a highlight. Manchester City effectively paid us to take her. And yes, they went on to win the league. And yes, Grace Clinton's won a league title. And so technically she might be sitting there laughing a bit more. But I still think we've got the better player because Jess Park, I think, has had more of an impact on United than Clinton has on City. I think all told, not too bad at all. We've had a pretty good defensive unit in general. It would be lovely if we could employ someone to help us deal with set pieces because we seem to enjoy conceding quite a lot from that. I've got to shout out Zagotti Olma as well. She's been superb. I think she was one of the missing pieces we needed in the midfield. So there's been some really good positive signings. But yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting moving into next season. You look at what we've done, 4 losses. It's not the end of the world, but in the WSL, it really is. You can't afford to win that many. As soon as you've lost a couple, it's pretty much game over. So thanks for coming to my TED Talk. But that's generally my thoughts on United. If you have any further questions, I'll be delighted to try and answer them. But yeah, without going into a Mark Skinner style run, I don't know quite where else you'd like me to go with that one. That's my general thoughts.
Could I just throw my sort of 2 pennies worth at this one? Because I think
Go
I
for
mean,
it.
If you like.
it's because I find Manchester United a fascinating prospect when it comes to women's
Agreed.
football, and for me, they're one of those teams that when they're not in Europe, they're brilliant in the WSL. But the moment they have European football, they tumble out of. Like last time you qualified for Europe because you came second in the league, and then you got into Europe, and then and I know you only had that one bit, it was the PSG playoff, but that season you tumbled out into fifth. But then now you got, and then last season you got in, well, season before you got into Europe, you've tumbled back out again. I just think you're just one of those squads. It's like you're sort of locked in sort of at the top, and you only sort of get into Europe if one of the teams like Manchester City has a brain fart of a season, and you just sort of get in by default. So you're just this. They just feel like this. You look at the league record as well. There is a consistency towards them. They're tough to beat, which Mark Skinner's side usually are. He was when he was Birmingham City manager. And it's just they'll be there and thereabouts. And if a Chelsea or a Manchester City or an Arsenal drop their game, they'll get in by Europe by default. And I would not be surprised if United get third place next season. Because City are going to be in Europe and they've got to balance their squad as well. And Chelsea, we don't know where they're at the moment, and we'll get to them in a minute. But I could easily see Man United sneaking a third, and then I'll go, oh, great, Mark Skinner's doing a great job. Man United in European football for another season. Here's your contract extension, sir. And the cycle will just keep repeating. And they'll just constantly just float on just doing enough to be in and thereabouts without actually progressing. And you're sort of trapped in this sort of stick or twist scenario is, do you get someone else in? Who? And are they going to actually push this team forward? What I will say to their credit is defensively, I mean, Arsenal, we had 3 games against Young, didn't score a goal in 3 games. And one of them was down to 10 players, and they're really annoying to play against. You talk about bogey teams, like Chelsea might be your bogey team. Manchester United are becoming our bogey team. It's really annoying. We've not done a league. I don't think we've ever done a league double over you. I do correct me, but I don't think Arsenal with WSL have done a league double over Manchester United since they get promoted in 2019. And that is with Casey Stoney and Mark Skinner being in charge. So I mean, you've got Myla Tissier at the back. You've got, good experience there. Tallis Joyce, I think, is one of the best keepers in the WSL. You don't talk about Mary Earps anymore. I am baffled by the Turland situation. I mean, it's not like Manchester United have given up a star striker and not bothered to give them a contract extension and then wondered why they've gone on a free to a rival. But here we go. They seem to be wanting to shed their forwards again. I think the signing, I mean, Barry, you and I, we know obviously Liberty very well. She's obviously a lot of love for Van Gaal knows her well, and I can say that she's furious when she sees her out on the wing. Why would you take I'd say a brilliant striker, potentially world-class striker, stick him on the wing? Why have you brought Leah Schürrle in if you've got Mallard and Turland? There doesn't seem to be a left hand talking to the right hand. The transfer policy seems to be over the shop. It's like signing players that sound good rather than what you need. Great, you like to sign Leah Schürrle, one of the big name players, but you got Mallard and Turland. So what's the point? I'd be very interested to see what they do over the summer, but I think they'll probably be one of these types just throughout the WSL, just continuously flip flops between top 3 and top 5, and until something changes.
Well, that's.
So I was just going to respond to that. And generally, you're quite right. I think you mentioned about the 2 times we were in Europe. I think what went hand in hand with that was our recruitment in the years that we did that. And they've not been quite as strong as they could have been. So that first year, I think we got rid of about 16 players. It was like a massive cull. And we sat there like, oh my God, where has everybody gone? And we then didn't bring in a lot of people. And then you fast forward to this time, we haven't brought in a lot of people, and we let a lot of people go. And you mentioned about the places where we get them in. We don't seem to have a focused transfer policy. No. In terms of the type of players, the type of profile that we want, and the places where we're going to put them. And I think
it's very scattergun, isn't it? It's very scattergun.
It is. And I think Chelsea, Arsenal, and City, especially, have done incredibly well at that. But you look at Spurs, Brighton, Villa. I would say London City Lionesses, but they're just playing a game of Championship Manager. Let's be honest.
Star manager.
There seems to be a real focus on what's the position that we need. When they're getting a player out, they already know which player it is that's going to replace them. I'd love to know who it is that's coming in to replace Elizabeth Turland if she goes. Is the answer Leah Schürrle? Because I'm not sure that we provided her with opportunities to show that she's going to be the top goal scorer moving into next season. So you're right to bring those correlations, but I think it's wider than just the Champions League. As you say, we only played that first game, and it didn't really work out too well for us. So, it's tough, it's difficult, but I think you're right. There is a lot wrong at Manchester United, and the bit that's wrong is just that they need to make a decision as to what they want to do. Now, the beauty of this is that I'm on a very different podcast, so the wonderful part about this is that I can be a little bit freer than I usually would be. I'm simply going to say
the gloves are off. The gloves are off.
I was going to say, you are unshackled. Go for it, Barry. Come on.
Go for it. Go on, Barry. Uncensored.
Barry unfiltered. It feels to me as though we know from reading the Athletic article that there's been talk about perhaps selling the women's team to outside investors. I think they're petrified of doing that because they know that if they let people invest in Manchester United, that we would actually go on to be absolutely not unbeatable, but would be challenging. It would be the difference, that little bit of investiture of getting some decent players where you can pay some decent wages, and all of a sudden you would start having players that wanted to come and play for you because you're matching their wages, you're getting a little bit more. Look at what's happening with London City Lionesses. You cannot tell me, I refuse to accept that some of these players that are going to London City Lionesses have looked at that and gone, oh, Dagenham, lovely. No, that's not what's happening.
It's all about the project, Barry. They've said.
Dagenham?
They're enthused by the project.
Hang on. Let's get talking about
Dagenham.
Dagenham's West Ham. They're not going to the Tigwell construction here. They're going
I think
to Bromley.
Katie Zenham got lost along the way, didn't she? So, it's a very easy mistake to make. So, for me, it's that. I think if they are going to do that, I think they're petrified that someone would show them that actually they just didn't fund their women's team well enough, and as a result, we didn't get to do what we needed to do. So, I'm really annoyed at the hierarchy at Manchester United. I hate the fact that Sir Jim Ratcliffe, every time he talks to us, he might as well just say, women, don't talk to me about them. I'm too busy trying to work out whether or not I bring Mason Greenwood back. Shut up, mate. He's a numpty. He's an absolute plank. In a very cheap suit, I might add, for someone who's so rich. So very disappointed with him. Very disappointed with how we're running our football team. I think the girls deserve better than they're getting. I think we should be looking at building our attendances. They've been going down. Why are they going down? They shouldn't be going down. It's Manchester United. And I very rarely use that phrase as Freya will tell me.
I was going to say, you Gary Neville.
I don't like it.
It's Manchester United Football Club we're talking about.
This is Manchester United.
But that's the thing, you don't, Barry, do you? You're not resting on the name of the club as some people do. And it's a very interesting question of do you think things will change without that leadership change, or do you think it is purely dependent on whether the higher ups wake up, pretty much?
I think we are urinating in the wind until such a thing. I don't know what your policy on swearing is on this channel, but
it's after 9 o'clock. It's all good.
Kids got the ear defenders on.
Might watch this.
Toby's asleep. We're all good.
It's mad. I think we are genuinely just up the creek all the time until they actually take it seriously. And I think that's the big problem. They don't take it seriously enough. We need to be at Old Trafford every week. The only club in the WSL up to this season, because I know that Chelsea are obviously going into Stamford Bridge, moving on to next year, but the only club that's taken it seriously is Arsenal. And is that any surprise that they've gone off and won the Champions League? Is it any surprise that they've been in the running across multiple different competitions each season? No, it's not, because they take it seriously, because they've got that heritage. They've been a cracking team at the top of women's football for a ridiculously long amount of time. Chelsea are putting the effort into it. They're putting the money into it. They're working hard to try and make sure that happens, and they're successful. Manchester City have done the same thing. They've given them a 10,000 seater. Brighton are going to do exactly the same thing. They are leading the way in the WSL, saying we're taking our women's team so seriously, we're going to build them their own stadium. And then you've got their chief operating officer coming out and telling everybody it's what they deserve. We really want to support our women's football team. This is what we want to do. Where's that language coming from our lot? All we get is people just shitting on all the time, going, oh, well, we're not worried about them. We've got to sort the men out so we can get some money in. We could sort the men out, get this, if you just get out of our football club, you money-grabbing gits. Then, all of a sudden, we might have a football team to be proud of again. You talking about the World Cup, I couldn't care less about men's football at the moment. I'm totally disengaged with it because it's all about the money.
Yes.
I would never want to see the women's football get to that point.
No.
That's not to say I don't want to see women get rich. That's not a misogynistic comment. I just want them to love the game in the way that they still do and be paid incredibly fairly for it. It's gone far beyond incredibly fair. People are getting paid more money and then they don't want the responsibility that goes with it. I can't be doing with it. I cannot be doing with it. So I'm not fussed about the World Cup. Couldn't care less. Don't care what happens about it. England could go out first round for all I care. Not fussed.
So we're going on penalties in the last 16, or whether it's to Gibraltar, or wherever it is we're playing it. That's what it'll be. Don't worry. I would say on this one, Baron, just quickly. Firstly, I want Arsenal playing Man United at Old Trafford. Why has that not happened yet? I think is a scandal, because that would be. I think it's also probably terrified that they know that we'll sell the away section, and that's probably what they're actually terrified about.
Double the attendance.
Well, yeah, but also
Arsenal will probably fill the Stretford end at Old Trafford with the amount of away fans.
It'd be like a home end. But also with your ownership, it's one thing to get rid of owners, but the problem is it's not just getting rid of, it's getting decent owners in, because you had the
You
Glazers.
actually care, yeah.
Yeah, it's all people say, oh yes, well we've got rid of the Glazers, but you bought Jerome Reckford, so you've just out of the frying pan into the fire. You need to find what kind of sort of philanthropist, lovely owners are there out there at the moment. And I would say, you mentioned Brighton. I think Brighton, if they stay the course, if they're consistent with their ownership, the signings they're making, we're jumping ahead a bit, I think they're going to be a scary prospect. I think they have a really good chance of being a really good, tough, and I think they could take Man United's position in the league if they're not careful. If not, I think there's every chance they could. If Man United don't kick on and fall away, Brighton will be the one snapping at the top 3 heels in a few years' time.
Yeah.
And money's in the post, Adam.
I will say, I think you've been very, very, it will surprise you to learn that I think you've been very, very lenient on Mark Skinner. And I think
I knew he's going to bite.
27 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. 27 minutes.
Hang on, let me just get my seatbelt on.
I think
brace yourself.
Grab a drink, everyone. Grab a drink.
I think with you can see with Duncan sat there with Dario Vidasic, what he's done coming in with Brighton and the way he's got the team playing from is a fine example of what a manager can do for a club that is already willing to support them. And you can see the difference, because Vidasic has gone, okay, this is what I'm working with. I'll go and get out. I'll go and get the best possible players and I'll work with it. Where Mark Skinner's been given, Ellen Vangerheim, one of the best young strikers in Europe, Leia Schuler, he's been given. It's like giving a chimpanzee a Ferrari, because he's just going to drive it into the wall at speed. He doesn't know how to use it.
I don't disagree with you in some respects, and I would never disparage anyone who is Mark Skinner out, because I think they've got their reasons and their beliefs for it, and I can't argue it that much with him. But what I will say is he is our most successful manager, and that's not a very high bar. But out of the two managers we've had, and this is what I mean, it's a very young club. Yeah. But out of the 2 managers we've had, he's been the better of the 2, and. I think he's been handcuffed a little bit. Do I think he makes stupid decisions every week? There's always something I can argue with Mark Skinner about. But has he progressed the football team? We were a football team that were in the Championship, WSL2, whatever we've got to call it at this point. And we won it immediately with Casey Stoney. And we've not dropped below 4th. And I think for a brand new football team, that's not bad. Now, we went on to win our first trophy. We were in 3 FA Cup finals on the trot, which is, again, really something quite good. I think he's not a goat. Do you know what I mean? He's not at the level of this is a manager we have to keep hold of no matter what.
Yeah.
But I think you can equally see that you can get a manager in, and it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the right manager in. So my biggest issue has always been, if he goes, who comes in? And sometimes it's better the Red Devil you know.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, because that's the thing at the end of the day, isn't it? You are still consistently getting results. It's just, has he reached his top level at his club?
He's at Man United, and they've got enough money to attract players who bail him out every week. We joked about in case of emergency break glass for Rachel Williams. She did it for a few seasons. And then
yeah, and that's the thing. Like talking about like the name of the club, you're still getting these big names being attracted to it because they want to represent the badge, or they've been United fans growing up. They've got that legacy and that connection. So and we've all, even though Paul loves to make out as gonna, but we've always said that team is so close knit and there is so much talent in that team. We just want them to, like, everything they do to reflect that as well, and like we just want them to succeed, because at the minute it feels like they're succeeding despite what's going on around them.
Was an incredible transfer. Like,
that was a brilliant one. Yeah,
whoever sold their soul for that, because Gray Clinton's massively overrated and was nothing more than a squad player, and you've got one of the best attacking midfielders in the WSL in return because Man City thought he was expendable, and like. Despite even a gift like that, I look at that and think, what would someone like Dario Vidicic have done with that? What would someone like Martin Ho have done with that?
But then, I mean, Vidicic, does he do the coaching?
Yeah, he is the head coach.
My thing with those two managers.
I liken myself to Skinner in a way. Like when I play Football Manager, I'm not really coaching them. I'm not looking at that and going, oh, they need a rest day on that one. And then if we do the weights on that, and then we do a bit of... you employ coaches to do that. Do I think he's employed coaches that are good enough to do the job? Absolutely not. Our best coaches, Martin Ho now manages Spurs. He's getting ready to try and overtake him. And he's now taken Wilco as well. And you just think, wow, that's not good. So that doesn't look good. That's in the negative column for him. But, I just think he's not stupid. And he does get on with the players generally, not all of them. He's been a bit of a numpty to some of them, and that's reasonably fair to say. But I do think with Mark Skinner, his heart is in the right place. I think he's an all-round, generally good guy. Do I think he's going to be the best manager Manchester United have ever had? I think the only answer I can legally give to that is, God, I hope not.
I just want to quickly say where you're talking about Vidicic and Skinner. The difference is, I think with Mark Skinner is he always plays not to lose. He will always play his default stance, whereas Vidicic will play to win, and he may lose. He may go to not win to bring this up. He'll go and play Man City in the FA Cup and lose 4-0, but he'll do that trying to win. Mark Skinner will go to play Chelsea and think, right, how can we get a point? We saw that against Bayern Munich. They got 1-0 up in the Allianz Arena, and it was right, batten down the hatches. We're going to hold out for and it's like, no, you can't. And what happened? They drew Bayern on, and they end up overpowering them. Yeah. And unfortunately, that comes down to Mark Skinner. I've always said as an underdog manager, it's his mentality from managing likes of Birmingham City. It's a small club mentality, but you're at a big club. And if he was managing, say, I don't know, West Ham United, and this was the mentality, you think this is great, but to reverse your phrase, this is Manchester United. And if it's the Manchester United that wants to be in the top three, a manager of Mark Skinner, it's just not. It's not his thing. It's not his style. He hasn't got that grandiose, big mentality like Emma Hayes had that big club mentality as a manager that I don't believe Mark Skinner has.
I think what that's done is it's brought us round full circle and beautifully ready to move on to your next team almost, because the last thing I would say about this is that you've just said exactly the right things, because he does that against most teams, but who are the teams that really doesn't work against? Chelsea, Manchester United, Manchester City, Arsenal, can't play ourselves, and Bayern Munich. And you look at those teams, they're the ones that have been taking us out of it. So this is why we're on the cusp of everything. We went on to win the FA Cup. We did have to beat Chelsea. It's the only time we've done it. So I will never accept it as being a besmirched competition in that respect, because we did have to beat the best in order to get there. It just didn't happen to be at the final. And God bless Rachel Williams, I think it is all that really can be thrown out of that one. But it just goes to show. And that's why I say it's not that I hate him or I'm Skinner out. But as Freya very rightly said there, I just think he's reached his ceiling. I don't think he's going to push us any further than he can. And really the question is, do we want to be that helium balloon that everybody loses in the middle of a party and it just goes up to the ceiling and it stays there for weeks and weeks, and everyone wanders a year later and goes, why is there a balloon in the roof? Or do we want to blast a hole through the roof and see Manchester United women get any better? I think the only way to blast that is by getting potentially a new manager.
Exactly. You want to zoom through the roof. Indeed, absolutely. Because again, looking at those 7 draws, you just think, oh, if only pushing on to turn those into wins. And exactly. So the last question I'll ask you, Barry, nice and quick one. Who is your underrated player from United this season?
Ooh, wasn't expecting this one. One moment.
Like to keep her on your toes.
I don't know if it's underrated, but I think Melvine Mallard is a much maligned individual. She annoys me as much as she frustrates. No, it's the other way around. She annoys me as much as she fascinates and excites me in terms of how she plays. Because one minute she's scoring an absolute banger, and then the next minute the corner post is ducking. So the corner flag, sorry. So I do find that very difficult. So I do think she's underrated because a lot of our good play this season has come through Melvine Mallard. I think there's a lot of United fans that have a go at Lisa Nelson, and I can't quite see why they're having a go at her. Is she God's gift to football? No, but she's far from the worst player we've stuck in at centre mid. So I wouldn't be worrying too much about that. I think that is the player I'm going to have to go with.
Yeah.
But I would also say, based on what the rest of the panel have said as well, Ellen Vangerheim is not a useless football player. She will blossom if she is given the right level of coaching and put in the right place and brought forward. So I suppose I would probably have to say she's probably the most underrated at the moment, because everybody seems to think, well, why are we playing this girl? We might as well get rid of her. And I think that actually, with the right guidance, she could be Ellen Vangerheim.
That's the thing. So that can be our message to the staff for this new season. Give Vangerheim a chance where she will thrive rather than just exist out on that wing. Right.
Send her back to Hammerby.
Yeah, keep her. She's a good player.
She'll flourish in the Swedish league if she goes back there. I'm sure.
No, she just needs nurturing, doesn't she, Barry? Just needs nurturing. But Barry, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will let you go. But that was a lovely look at United's season. Thank you very much. And nice to talk to you this way around.
Nice one. Cheers, guys. Thank you very much. Take
Cheers,
care.
Barry. See you later. Bye.
Yeah.
Right. As we lose a Barry, we're bringing two more guests in. Are we ready?
We've got Barrys.
Well, we've got 2 more special guests, both making their pod debut. Are we ready? Say hello, chat, to Nessie and to my Whole 115 Yards co-founder. We've got a Lindsay as well. Welcome both. How are you both doing?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me on this fantastic, illustrious podcast. It's this is what I spend my Wednesday nights doing anyway, just shouting at the computer screen. So to be able to have a microphone and do it is just it's like a dream. Do you know what I mean? Now other people will hear me shouting.
It's a dream to have you on, Nessie, honestly. And Lindsay, lovely to see you. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Now let's get the United logo off, shall we? Because Duncan, we're coming to you next, mate. So Brighton, here we go, Brighton stats for you. So we've got 7 wins this season, 5 draws, 10 losses. However, we need to kind of start with top goal scorer here, Kiko Saike, because what a signing and what a season she's had, Duncan. Is she one of your standout players for the season?
Oh yeah, absolutely, no doubt. Scored a couple of goals for the Japanese national team as well the other day. So scored a couple in the Asian Cup. So she's an international quality player, in my opinion. I think the trouble is, from our perspective, is she just hasn't had enough goal scoring support. So that's the main issue. Is we needed someone else to score 7 or 8 goals as well, and that didn't happen. But Kiko, she signed a new contract, so no one can have her.
She's yours, and she's sticking there, because of course it's not just Saike. Of course you've got Madison Haley as well. She's, I think, really come into her own this season. But yeah, Duncan, in your words, how has Brighton's season gone for you? Because of course 7th, I think there's a lot of teams in that midsection where there were mere points between them. Of course Villa being one of them as well. So yeah, did you expect higher? Did you expect kind of where you did finish? Tell us all about it, please.
Yeah, it was quite up and down. I mean, one thing I would say is we weren't massively off the points total that we had last season when we finished fifth. In fact, if we'd have beaten Spurs on the last day, we go 1-0 up, end up losing 2-1. If that finishes 1-0 to Brighton, then Brighton stays sixth with a positive goal difference, which again is another thing that we've never really done before. We would have ended up, I think, on a record points total, even though finishing one place lower. And I think one of the positive things about that is a lot of the time when a club has finished fifth or fourth, because occasionally, Liverpool did get fourth, I think, didn't they, on one year? They tend to drop like a stone the following year. And actually, I think being able to maintain that sort of fifth, sixth, seventh position in quite a challenging year for different reasons is a real positive. I would say there were two main issues that sort of plagued us in terms of on the negative side. One was we were light strikers going into the season, and then Michelle Adjemang, who was obviously on loan from Arsenal, does her ACL on England duty. I think was late October or early November. Adam may remember more closely than me, but but we were light on strikers already, and then our main striker goes down with an ACL. Can't replace her, so it gets to January, obviously, when we can. And then for one reason or another, the club decided wasn't the right time to splash the cash, or I think probably more likely everyone knew we needed a striker, so they all bumped the price up 3 or 4 times and said, well, if you want them, you'll have to pay the tariff, as it were. So that was one. And then obviously some people will know, some people might not, but Dario's father, Rado, was head of women and girls coaching at Brighton, and he passed away in the middle of the season. So the whole family is from Australia. They all live in Australia, generally speaking. Obviously, Dario's over here now, but Rado had come over to join him. But yeah, obviously a very difficult time. Dario went back to Australia for the funeral and everything, and spent some time with his family, as absolutely 100% rightfully he should, and he did. But again, it didn't just affect him, because Rado was also part of the club. So it would have been bad enough if it had just been his dad, but it was his dad, but also their coach that passed away. So I think the fact that we only finished 3 or 4 points off our total that we did last season, and we got to an FA Cup final, I think we actually did quite well, to be honest with you. And I would say that the feeling in the camp, the feeling amongst the fans, is we're very, very proud of the team. We are very, very proud of everything they've achieved this season, and we just hope they get more of what they deserve, going into next year.
Yes, because like you said, kind of despite everything and that, because I think people can kind of see physical impact more, can't they, sometimes, rather than emotional, because it was quite close to a game, wasn't it, when we heard the news of Dario's dad passing away, and there were discussions about, do we postpone the game, because of course that impact. So yeah, you're right, the fact that the team got through it and they did get to where they were really shows kind of that, again, that tightness of that squad. So thinking about, because obviously there's plans for the women's team having their own stadium being built, and all of the money kind of going into it. Very dissimilar to United in that sense, where the owners are very much, let's support the women's team, let's do what we can for them. Do you think this transfer window, do you hope that maybe more squad depth maybe is going to really push us to that next limit next season?
Yeah, I really hope so. I don't think we're that far away from challenging, the top sides. Obviously, we did and beat a few of them this season. In fact, to me, it's quite a crazy stat. I mean, for you guys, it might be less so, but Brighton only lost one game in any competition by more than 1 goal, which I think just shows if Michelle Adjemang hadn't have got injured, or Brighton had gone out and bought, a striker in January, despite the price of making that deal.
Mm.
That was all that was missing. You know, one goal, 10 more goals across the season would have turned a few draws into wins and a few losses into draws. And then you're suddenly above the 30-point mark and you're looking at fifth, you know, maybe even threatening for fourth if you can get up to 40 plus points. So I don't think we're far away. And I'm really hopeful that they have announced the players that are leaving, and they only announced 3. I think there are more that are out of contract, but they haven't 100% said. I think more than likely Brighton have offered them a contract, and it might be weighing that up against their other options. So I wouldn't be surprised if a couple more leave. But I do think in general, what they are going to want is quality over quantity, rather than churn a whole team, you know, because the last few seasons it's been sort of 9 or 10 in, 9 or 10 out, and so on and so forth. And even our head of women's football has said at certain points we were getting players to get us to from A to B, and to get to B to C, we had to let those players go and kind of make, you know, the next level. So I would like to see sort of 3 or 4 real quality signings come in to augment the team and the team ethos that's already there. And then I think we can start. I don't know if we would maybe threaten the top 4 next season, but I think that would start to put us more in the conversation, and maybe we get to a cup final again and we can win it that time. So that would be very nice.
Yeah. Because how did it feel for the team to get to a final? I know you said obviously proud of where they finished just in general this season, but because again, forgive me, my brain at the minute, was that the first time you'd got to that final?
Yeah, it's only the second time any Brighton team have got to an FA Cup final, so obviously for us it was quite big.
Huge moment. Yeah,
it was, and I think you know, this is one of the lovely things about the women's game is that, yes, we lost 4-0, but everyone who watched that game saw how well we played in the first half an hour, couldn't get that goal. And then once Man City started to make strides ahead, you know, they get a second before half time, which means we have to come out and play a completely different game plan in the second half, because quite frankly, we have to score 3 goals at some point.
Yeah.
So it all changed on that. But up until sort of 30, 35 minutes, we had them on the ropes a few times. And I agree with what you guys were saying about, you know, Dario will always set up a team to win. And he acknowledges that we lost. I've spoken to him since. He acknowledges that we lost, but he still feels that if we'd have got that first goal in the first half an hour, that would have been a different game and we could have seen it through. So again, that shows you know, his sort of feeling and the fans' feeling that we really need that striker to kind of to put a focal point really on everything that the rest of the team can do.
Yeah, no, I'm completely with you, because when I was looking again at all the stats, obviously we've talked about Seiko, of course, she's on the graphic. But if you look who's kind of behind her, Madison Haley were mentioned, 4 goals, 3 assists. But then after that, it's Ola Slagers, 2 goals, 1 assist, Chankovic, 2 goals. So you've got quite a few players on 2 goals, but I suppose over the course of the season you want more at CK's level, don't you? To be getting at least 3 or 4 to add to that tally. So is there anyone there in that squad? And again, I'm going to be asking this to everyone tonight, so you can all have a think. Who would you think's your underrated player of the season, Duncan?
That's a very good question. If you can call her underrated, because I actually think people are starting to realise how good she is, I would say Caitlin Hayes.
That's for sure. Yeah,
she was amazing last night as well.
Absolute stalwart for the Ireland team. She had some crazy stat about she'd won like 95% of aerial duels or something, which was some sort of record. She'd only lost like 2 or something all season. And sometimes, and sometimes we have 2, I would almost describe them as Rolls Royce defenders either side. They're in the right place at the right time. I'm talking about Manu Venegas and Moeka Minami. Right place, right time, good anticipation, good on the ball. But what they lack slightly is a little bit of physicality. And Caitlin is that old-fashioned centre back that just, I think it even got written in the programme. I did some of the notes for the FA Cup final programme.
Oh, brilliant.
Not to big myself up too much, but
Nice.
they actually kept in the part.
Yeah, you did it.
They actually kept in the part where I said that she'd head away a brick if it got crossed into the box. So I thought that was quite nice. They kept that in because I meant it metaphorically, but they left it. So. But yeah, I think we've needed that this season. I think you do need that element of kind of grit and determination at the back. And she's almost become a bit of a meme because she shouts up all the time. She's just constantly through the game, up, up, up. So now when she starts it, we all start joining in as well. Up, up. But yeah,
I love that.
And I cannot even explain to you how lovely a person she is. We get Celtic fans, genuinely, we get 20 or 30 Celtic fans at every game north of London because they want to watch Caitlin. Admittedly, if there's a Celtic game, she tells them, no, you've got to, she's always told them, you've got to support the club because they had a cup final same day as we did. And some of them wanted to come and see her, and she said, "No, you've got to support Celtic first. Make sure I don't see you." But yeah, basically, if they haven't got a game that day, they just turn up, and it's wild. It's absolutely wild. But that just shows you the sort of caliber of person she is.
I was going to say that's a testament to her as well, isn't it? And kind of we can see kind of the future is very bright for Brighton. Is there anything anyone else would like to ask Duncan about Brighton's season, or anything anyone's picked up? Who wants to interject?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when Fran Kirby moved, a lot of people, obviously, because she left Chelsea, were, I suppose, implying nicely that it was a step down. But I think Brighton really, really suits her.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think again, I'm trying not to blow my own horn, but when it was announced that she was leaving Chelsea, I actually wrote an article on She Goals about a week later saying Brighton would be the perfect place for her to come. And it was for a couple of reasons. One is she's always talked about projects. She got Reading to where they were, and that was her first project. Then she went to a quote unquote, big club where she was amongst a sea of stars and everything. And it felt like when Chelsea decided, okay, we're moving on, that the Brighton sort of project as it was, a new manager, the stadium had not been 100% finalised at that point, but it had been talked about as a concern sort of thing that there was going to be a stadium at some point. And also she's always been in and around the sort of Surrey, London, Sussex, Hampshire area, where she's always played, and it just made a lot of sense to me that we would be her next project. She doesn't strike me as a sort of player who wants to go and do a season here, a season there, a season in America, come back, do a season with so and so. She wants to stay settled. She likes where she lives. She can still commute there from to the Albion and stuff. So it really suits her, and it suits us because she was a big step up for us. But equally, I think we were possibly the best WSL option that she really had, given that, Chelsea were kind of saying, well, maybe you're not ready to play every game for a top 4 team anymore. So having, come in 5th that year and obviously, mid-table sort of generally, I think there was a lot of sort of green ticks in her box sort of thing. So, yeah, it's great, and getting to watch her is a real treat. Sometimes she's on a wavelength different to everyone else. That's the only thing that occasionally happens. She's almost on like an elite level wavelength, and everyone else is on the very good level wavelength.
She's just so good, isn't she? Like watch some of the through balls she puts through, and you're like, yeah, just everyone needs to. If they don't know who she is for whatever reason, they just, like you said, need to look at the skill of some of those passes, and you're like, yeah, that's Fran Kirby.
Absolutely.
Yes. Right. Any more for Duncan?
If you could sign any vaguely realistic striker, Duncan. So, and when I say vaguely realistic, we have mentioned Liz Turland if she leaves Man United, as if Brighton really want to go for the best.
And so also, I think Tom put in about Mallard as well as having some offers.
So the level you're kind of looking at is getting Liz Turland back. So we're not talking London City throwing it at whoever they want, but top tier WSL players is your level.
Yeah, who would you like to
That's
steal?
a very good
Who would you
question.
like to steal over the summer, like from Europe or the WSL?
That is a very, very good question. I'll give you, while I think about a sort of more speculative one, I'll give you one I think is quite likely, which is Beth England.
Oh, okay.
Very, very good friends with Fran. Obviously left Spurs because they're kind of having a reboot.
And wavelength.
Yeah, there we go, Beth England. And also, one of the things that was talked about after the FA Cup, Fran said we need more experience. We needed more heads out there who'd been there and done it, and sort of, who better than Beth England? She's been there and done it all in the WSL.
Yeah.
So that's that would be a big one. Oh goodness, I would have taken Stina if she was available from Arsenal. So that one sort of passed by because I didn't think Arsenal were going to renew her. But yeah, I mean, I'd take Vangerheim if Man United wanted to loan her to us for a season, as long as they included a buy clause, because we've got stung on those before. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's I quite liked Tamberg coming out of Sweden as well, but obviously she went to Spurs, so we seem to get them pinched off our toes a lot of the time. But yeah, I think it's not a particularly advanced one, not a particularly speculative one, but yeah, I'd really like to see Beth England come in. I think she'd make a big difference and just be on the end of some of those good bits of play that, like I say, the rest of the team are able to put together, but just a bit of lack of experience and lack of a focal point, it doesn't end in a goal. So yeah, I'll say Beth.
Because that fits for me as well, I think, because if you think about that Frank Kirby Beth England link up, that's very nice indeed, isn't it? Oh, the future, yes, the future's looking good. So fingers crossed then, when I'm doing my transfer tracker, I can put Beth England on for you, Duncan. That sounds good.
That'd be nice.
That sounds good for me. Well, Duncan, thank you so much. Do you want to stick around for a bit?
Yeah, I'll stick around for a bit if that's all right with you.
Of course, yes, because you do have a fan who's entering the chat right now. Krunk.
That's my man.
How are you doing?
My man, Krunk.
Hello.
Hey, buddy.
I wasn't sure when I was going to be joining on. Hold on, let me turn on my light. There we go. Hello,
Just
what's up?
keep her on your toes. Evening, how you doing?
I'm good. How's everyone?
Yeah, good, thank you. Krunk, I'm possibly in the most English place ever. I'm in a castle right now.
Of course you are.
Of course now.
Isn't that like an English thing?
There is a suit of armor behind me, if people can kind of see. There we go. So yes, so I've kind of got my phone on for the video and the audio, because the laptop is struggling in these castle walls. But then I've got the laptop for the graphics. So that's how we're playing it tonight. Now then, so I mean, Tom's even saying there just as a final one for Brighton. Michelle could be loaned out again since she's back out and running. But you never want to loan out a player coming back from injury too soon, do you? In that case, but I mean, if Adjuman is another option back at Brighton, Duncan, would you take her?
I wouldn't take her on loan at this point. I think it's just
too
buy. I'm not a big fan of loaning players from other WSL clubs generally, just because it feels like if they're good, they just take them back and they're even better than they were before. Or if they're bad, they don't want them anyway, and then you don't want them either. So,
that's really fair.
I would take Michelle back, but yeah, if it was a loan, it would have to be like a loan with an amount at the end that we could pay if she was good. So, but yeah, I wouldn't mind actually. The name is escaping me. Arsenal had another striker. Adam will remember. She was on loan, I think, to Bristol City and someone else in the WSL too.
Oh, Jessie Gale.
That's it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very good.
I'd love Jessie Gale.
Yeah.
She's not high on the pecking order at the moment for Arsenal. So yeah, Jessie Gale. Yeah, I'd like to see her come in. Yeah.
Very good indeed. Right, well, let's keep going. Lindsay, we're going to come to you, and then I'll let you go to bed after this one. Lindsay, come on there. Right, ninth 9th for Aston Villa, because of course I could talk about Aston Villa, but you know, people are probably sick of my voice every week. So we'll get my partner in crime, Lindsay, on. There we go. But yeah, Lindsay, this season's kind of been a bit of a hasn't it? We were talking on our Villa podcast, kind of, you know, you look at that, 5 wins in the season, 5 draws, 12 losses, and it's just not good enough, is it? Of course, we've got Natalia in, and despite, you know, people very much jumping on the bandwagon of change the manager, get the manager out, we said it's not really down to her. And then of course we've got a top goal scorer, Kirsty Hansen, who we can't believe might be leaving this summer. But I'm going to stop talking. Lindsay, take it away. For you, what has the season been like? Is it what you expected? Or should we just start again next year?
Can we Control-Alt-Delete the season, because it wasn't the best one? I think we've had a couple of seasons where we've had not always the best start, or we'd win the first game and then it'd go a bit downhill till Christmas, be in a relegation battle, and then come out with a new lease of life in the new year and literally just take over and storm up the table. This season we haven't done that, and you know, it wasn't a comfortable 9th. It was a very stressy 9th as well. Very real times where we thought, you know, we are potentially at risk of going down here, and watching the girls play with their heads down for so many minutes of the match, it's not been a nice watch. Could we have done better? Yeah, there's always room for improvement. I think a skeletal squad with so many injuries has been one of our downfalls, but also the lack of investment, which we bang on about all the time. To be competitive in this league, you have to keep investing. And with the windows, we have brought players in, but they haven't been what I call plug and play players, where they just fit straight in the team. They've either been at a level that isn't necessarily compatible with what we've got, or it's just not happened. And this is the thing where it's just fallen foul, which is a shame, because we've got some really great players, and it's just a frustration as a fan to watch a team that you know can do so much better and be higher up the table.
Yeah,
be awful. And the only time we've actually seen them play well this season, or at least cohesively as a team and happy, was at the Sevens. But they actually looked happy. That was the only time they were happy. So yeah, frustrating one. And then also the fact that we can't retain any of our players is just another downfall at Villa. We get good players and we just can't retain them. So yeah, it's a bit of a meh season that I'd like to erase, but hopefully it's starting and paving the way for something next season, with so many players leaving through natural wastage, that hopefully we can invest over the summer, get players in, and really kick on next season.
Natural wastage. What a phrase. Yes, you're leaving the squad because you are natural wastage. Yeah, because you're right, because we've had obviously a couple of change in managers as well, haven't we? So it's almost like we've had quite a few players who were bought to play a certain system, and then when that changed, they didn't fit. And you know, Gabby Nunez, unfortunately, just didn't work out. She's off this summer. Paula, bless her, you know, my heart goes out to her. She's had to retire early at 24 because of injury. We're losing Sabs, of course, who had a fantastic World Sevens. Again, just want to throw it out there. And then, of course, we lost Dree and Kenza last season, but didn't replace them. And yeah, it just feels like we were trying to plug gaps, but not really investing for that long term. So for Lindsay, for you as well, who do you think's been our most underrated player this season?
The underrated player for me has been Maritz. Because she runs her socks off every game. She's not the player that stands out massively when you look at the squad. She doesn't do the headline scores like with films and stuff, doing the free kicks. You don't have the Kirsty Hansen goals, but she's such a workhorse, and when she's not playing, you see a big difference in that defence. But also, we have had someone come up from the youth who hasn't been given much for a run around, and I wish she had, and that's Millie Round.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
she scored some absolute belters. We sent her on loan and then brought her back and then never played her. And I was like, what are we doing? So I really hope that as a close runner up that she can be that. But Maritz for me is massively underrated. I think people see as an Arsenal, not an Arsenal reject, but someone that wasn't able to be competitive with the Arsenal team and the direction they're going. But she's one of the biggest grafters on the team, and you never see her complaining. She's always carrying on. You do see her swearing, which is hilarious, but like she's always grafting. And I think that's what I like in a player that plays for the badge, and that's exactly what she is.
Yeah, and it's exactly who we need. Yeah, Adam, go for it. Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm really glad that Maritz is getting some love, because obviously she was the bus, and I can vouch that she's a brilliant right back. And it was sad to see her go. It was the right decision because we were signing Emily Fox, and I'm sorry, you can't compare, but Maritz, 100%, playing at Villa, she will give you 100% every game. And she played a ball. I think she might have won the Champions League with Wolfsburg, or at least been to the final. She was with Wolfsburg, before Arsenal, I believe. So no, high quality right back, and I'm really glad she's getting some flowers. Can we have a shout out for if you haven't, for Lucy Staniforth, who
Yes.
can we have a shout out for her?
Yes,
'Cause I was at the Villa Park for the last Villa home game. It was Arsenal away, obviously, for us, but I was there for the last game of the season, and she's got flowers. What an incredible career she's had, and obviously wish her all the best with what she's doing next. And I spoke to you also about the game, Freya. I hope that stand is fully built by the time by next season, because
we
it was
hope
not.
so.
We hope so, because it was not the most safe way of accessing an away stand. But I must say, I echo your point, Linz. It's a real disappointment for Villa. I remember the Arsenal game against Villa at Villa Park last season, and Villa tore us to shreds. And you looked at them, and Kirsty Hansen up front and all that, and you thought, they're brilliant. And they've come in, and it's been a bit of a damp squib. I know they got that point at Emirates Stadium early in the season, which we might come back to later from our behalf. And you look at thinking, oh, this is a pretty good set-up unit. And it's just it's just got kicked away into nothingness. There's no chance of Villa being relegated, because you had Leicester, Liverpool, and West Ham in the league. So there are three worse teams worse than Villa, but that's going to start chipping away at some point. I really hope they get their act together, and get some, refresh the squad. I mean, you got Anna Pattons in the defence as another ex-Arsenal player. How is she doing as the in the centre of defence from just as an ex-Arsenal youth player?
She's a bit. I love her as a player. I love to watch her play, but it's almost like, because we're changing our back line so much, there's no consistency.
Yeah.
So even if she does get a run of games and there's a central setup, she's not performing consistently at a level that I would like to see her. And I don't know if that's because I've seen her potential, I can see where she can be, and I'm like, you're not quite there yet. But she's playing really well. I've always maintained she's captain material when she's got a bit more experience. But I just want to see her be more confident. And I've seen her make quite a few mistakes this season, as the whole squad has. And I just think it hasn't been the best season for the whole squad. If you'd asked me this last season, I would be absolutely singing her praises. But this season, like you said, we started off really well, and now it's not gone as well. But I really hope that she will, progress on. And if we can invest in a defensive back four, back five, back three, however Natalia wants to play, and then we have a backup team as well, so they're naturally used to playing together, then hopefully that will solidify and it will make her play better, because she'll know where the other players are rather than being out of position and going, oh, I don't know where this person is. I'm a big Patton fan, but she hasn't had a best season.
I can only talk from experience of being an Arsenal fan, being in that ground for Villa's last home game of the season, and it should not, as an away team, it should not feel like a comfortable game. It shouldn't feel like oh, this is fun, this is easy. We'll just stroll up and just relax in the sun. And it was very hot. The sun was in our eyes for most of it. It was very hot. It was
blistering that day.
It was my last game of the season as well, just how the schedules had lined up. It was absolutely roasting, but it was just like there was no stress. There was no anxiety. There was no sort of tension, because it was too routine. And to me, that spoke of a team that had the flip flops on. They not a stronger word to say given up, but there was just no fight in that team at that point in the season. And maybe that's because they were locked in. There was nothing's going to happen. But I would have wanted to go on to Villa Park and there been a bit of a battle, bit of a fight in there, a bit of a something to fight against. And I hope they find that next season. Are they playing all their games at Villa Park next season? Is that now their permanent WSL home, Villa Park?
As far as we're aware, yeah.
Excellent, because that's a great stadium to go to when it's fully built. But it's a great stadium to go to and watch football. So I would like to be able to go back there next season and watch a really good competitive game between Arsenal and Aston Villa. And hopefully that happens.
Can I just pick up on your comment about the away provision?
Yeah.
I Freya will kick me off now for saying this. I raised it with the club, so just so you know that the home fans are in agreement with what you highlighted, and it was raised, and I'm still waiting for them to come back to me, to be fair, but I have been told I will get a response. But I have raised that there were issues and it wasn't acceptable, and hopefully going into next season it will be very, very different with everything happening.
It was raised with the supporters club at our end. Obviously I sent it to Freya and assumed it was potentially. I put the picture of social media. I mean, I don't want to exaggerate. There was the potential for something very dangerous could happen if something dangerous had happened. If that makes sense, it was.
That's what I said.
Good. Yeah, there was.
Yeah. We all agree that it shouldn't have been in that state at all. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I just wanted to point that out that it had been raised as well our end. But the team all season has looked like a team that had given up, and that's why when people say, "Oh, you're never going to be relegation fodder because the team's worse than you," we weren't delivering. And that's the difference. Points on the board are what keep you afloat. It's not about if you're a better team or not. It's how many points you get. And we were just going into every game.
Because we were worried, weren't we, Lindsay?
Yeah,
for
we were.
Quite a lot of the season.
We didn't think we'd get to the bottom, but it was like, if we do realistically find ourselves in the playoff like Leicester, are we going to do what Leicester essentially did, which is turn up with our heads down and be beaten? And it was like, well, I don't know if we can hold our own, especially when we got beaten by Blues in the cup, and it was like, well, we should be beating Blues. So there's been a lot of, it's been a bad season for us in as a whole, and I just hope that whatever has happened behind the scenes can be put behind us in this summer, and we can move forward positively into next season and be pushing back to be further up the table, which is where we should be. And when people come to Villa Park, even if they do take a point from us or 3 points from us, we make it very, very difficult. And that's where we need to be.
Just remind me, is it 2 up, 2 down next season in the WSL? With the expansion teams, it's still one team being relegated. Is it one team being relegated in the playoff next season? Is that
one relegated in the playoff,
So there's now 2 slots basically. So there is an extra level of jeopardy. So that the floor has risen up. So which is great. And hopefully that'll keep teams like Aston Villa on their toes, knowing they can't just ease off because they're not in position. Will be 14. It'd be they've got to put the hammer down and keep going for a few more games, and hopefully that will make for a better WSL.
I was going to say, trust us, we're never off our toes at the minute. We're constantly staying there. But Lindsay, just as a final one, so obviously we've got there Kirsty Hansen, top goal scorer, 12 goals, 1 assist. Just to put that into perspective for everyone, our next top goal scorer is Rachel Daly on 3. So the gap between our goal scorers is horrendous. So if we do lose her, that would have been the difference between relegation, I think, without Kirsty. She's also the only player who played in all 22 matches last season. So we do have, like we're saying, issues with consistency. And Lindsay, we kind of spoke about, we need about 10 players, don't we, to really get our squad back to competitive level. How many do you realistically think we're going to get this window? Because we said maybe we'll get a couple here, a couple in January, possibly. But yeah, realistically, what do you think our summer's going to look like?
With the way we've been recruiting, we'll probably get one person. Unfortunately, because the way we've been recruiting. But I would like us to get at least 3 or 4 in through this window, just to give us some investment, but also not just buy anybody because we're panic buying, which is what we've done in the past. Make sure we're buying buying quality because we need to level up and we've got to be competitive. And other teams are investing. We can't just keep doing the same thing, but also invest in the players that we've got so that we retain them, so they don't want to move on and they do want to stay. And that investment doesn't necessarily look like a wage structure. It's making sure the environment that they work in is conducive to their well-being and mental health, which is something that we discuss endlessly. And if that player is happy, then they're more likely to stay and get the best out of them than they are if they're unhappy. Because money doesn't buy happiness. Don't tell London City Lionesses. But
Doesn't buy love either.
It's one of the things where we just want to make them, we want to make them feel like they're welcome and also treated with respect. And I think that is probably the biggest thing. But I know they're doing things behind the scenes to try and attract new talent and talent from abroad as well as within the UK. So hopefully they'll have found some nice little gems and we'll get a good 3 or 4 through this summer. But we need quite a few. And I don't think the Christmas window, I think we just need to just spend some money and get the checkbook out. We just need to get it out at this point.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
We're out. Yeah. We can't be competitive.
Yeah, exactly. So, because again, 9th, obviously not anywhere where we expected to be. We thought we'd be competing for that mid-table again, at least, of course. So yeah, next season, hopefully, like you said, with the players they're hopefully going to bring in, we can be back to the Villa that we know exists somewhere in there. But yeah, we'll leave that there then. But thank you, Lindsay, for that. Lovely to see you. Pleasure as always. And I'll let you go and have a good sleep.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. See you later. Bye. Nice one. And then there were 6. Right. Evening, everyone. Right. I'll tell you what then. Crunk, Nessie, who wants to go next?
Nessie was here first. Also, hi, Nessie.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
We've gone full international, haven't we? Ireland and the US.
There you go.
Full international.
Well, that's what this podcast brings. It brings football together the right way, unlike what the Men's World Cup are trying to do. But that's the last time we talk about the men.
Speaking of which, the men have just kicked off, haven't they, with the game in Florida? I think. Oh yeah, just kicked off. England versus whoever it is.
Was it delayed?
Costa Rica. Yeah, it's delayed by an hour due to a rainstorm, so just kicked off.
Yes, that's what always makes us laugh about the NWSL as well. Anytime you tune in for Orlando Pride game, it's like
it's always delayed.
We might kick off. It might be in 3 hours. We might come back for a bit. We might. Yeah. There's thunder and lightning somewhere.
Very frightening.
In fact, is that Galileo? Right, let's.
All these jokes are magnifico.
Yeah.
Right then, let's go back, shall we? Right, Nessie, London City Lionesses. We've got 8 wins across the season, 3 draws, 11 losses, and top goal scorer. I mean, Freya Godfrey has been brilliant this season, hasn't she? What a play. I was going to say a product. No, that sounds awful. A product acquisition. Yes, thank you so much. Acquisition, very good. But yeah, Nessie, for you, because of course this season, there's a lot of kind of outside talk, isn't there? Of course, with London City and all the things we will get into the transfer rumours as well. But yeah, for you this season, obviously finishing 6th, a lot of people talking about independent club coming up, finishing 6th. This is kind of like their base to spring forward. But yeah, how do you feel all about that? And how did the season go for you?
Well, firstly, I don't like calling them an independent club.
I know it feels wrong, doesn't it?
I would say they're a non-male affiliated or not affiliated because they're not independent. Let's be honest, they're not independent.
Yes.
And I mean, London City are not the same club that I first went to see 3 years ago. Like I remember going to see Rusha Littlejohn made her debut that day. She was on the pitch for 10 minutes. Like it was just after, I think it was just after the World Cup. And there was loads of people there. Well, there was lots of Irish people that had arrived into Dartford But I mean, it was still a really small crowd for what London City were at the time. And it's a completely different club. And I think this season, from a fan point of view, from what happened at the end of the season where they won the championship, and they'll always be the championship winners and, title holders. What happened then and the transition into a WSL team, I think that was really hard to deal with because there was the takeover at the same time and we were trying to get our heads around that. And then it was just, there was a lot of stuff happening. And as a fan base, well, I felt anyway that I wasn't quite sure where we would fit into this new world, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Yeah.
And I think it took a little while, but it was still quite jarring. And I mean, there were some things that were quite, the consistency that we had with Jocelyn being there for the championship winning season and then into the new season. Jocelyn always had a word for everyone. He was a really nice guy. That meant a lot because there was a lot of players let go at the end of that championship winning season. And
Yes.
I've been in Dartford when there was 50 people there, it was just, so to see like 5,000 people or to see it sold out with Arsenal fans. Yeah. But we do have London City fans. There are more than just me now, Adam, let me tell you.
Oh, you brought a friend along.
So there was a lot of change. But it was when we went to the Emirates in August or September, whenever it was quite surreal, the first game. And then for Asllani to score and for us to go ahead against Arsenal in our first game in the WSL, that was like, we knew it wasn't going to last. We knew that we were probably not going to end up on the right side of the score.
How long did it last for?
Be quiet.
Should we just say though, it was a very special goal. I mean, to level it, it was a very, from our perspective, because I was actually in a signal box in Wimbledon when it happened. Was it Wimbledon? Clapham Way, and yeah, that goal, the Olivia Smith goal.
Yeah, the one that she has now tattooed. So I wonder if Olivia Smith actually has the first London City tattoo, because I don't have a London City tattoo. But it'd be really interesting because I know Janet Fernandez in the video there last week was very glad that she wasn't on Olivia Smith's leg. So, weird. But it's just been really strange. And I think the first couple of games were a big eye-opening. This isn't going to be an easy ride. There was 4-1, then there was a 5-1, then there was another 4-1. And then it just seemed as well that London City were conceding penalties every game. And it was,
I remember that, yeah.
Stop it, please. But they were doing okay. Overall, they were doing okay. And that win against Everton in Goodison, that was a Friday night game. And that just seemed to stabilize everything. They needed a win. And that kind of seemed to stabilize everything at that stage. But then 2 days before Christmas, Jocelyn was sacked. And it was like, what the hell is going on here? That just threw everything into chaos. It felt like everything into chaos. I mean, around that time as well, Katie Zell went out on loan to West Ham. That's not surprising because she played in that Arsenal game. She played another few games, but she was terrible. She wasn't good. So it didn't surprise me that she wasn't making the London City team. Anybody playing like that wasn't going to make the London City team. She just wasn't good. But then when Eder came in, whenever it was, January, it's taken a little bit of getting used to the new players that came in January as well. Delphine Cascarino, getting her to try and link up with, well, who can she link up with? Because they put Lotte Lindstrom, who would be ideal, putting her out on loan to Birmingham, and they needed another striker up there, and they needed a little bit more up front. And they never seemed to be the same starting 11, which was a big thing.
Yeah.
There was no consistency in that at all. So you kind of roughly knew who was going to be in there, but there was always changes. And I mean, Izzy Goodwin as well was fantastic in the past couple of years, but she's finding it hard. And there's no point in saying she's not. She is finding it hard in the WSL. But I think she's still quite young, so she's still quite probably getting used to the professional game at that level, not just in the WSL. She's not going to have as much time in the WSL to take her shots, or she's not going to get as much space. Like if you remember Southampton last year, she had scored a couple of goals and they were almost the same kind of goals, I think it was. And then she basically did the same against Birmingham in the last game of the season. It was like, you're never going to be able to score the same goal 3 times in the WSL. You know, you're not going to do it. You're going to have.
She just used to have so much space, didn't she?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
her
So you're
runs,
not. Yeah, you're not going to get that now. So she needs to adapt her game a little bit more. But I think she's learning a lot, and when she's coming on, she's trying to take her opportunities. But we need midfield definitely hasn't gelled yet. Yeah. And I do think there is a spark there with Delphine Cascarino. I do think that Lotte Lindstrom does deserve to get her shot. Like, she joined in January 24, was it 24? January 24, I think it was. And I think it was a 3.5-year deal. So she's still in contract until 2027. Like, she's had a really, really tough time. She scored within 7 minutes on her debut in Dartford. And she did her ACL then last year. And she came back. She couldn't get into the team because you need to get up to speed to get into a WSL team again. And after such an injury, and that was her second ACL actually. So she needed to go out and see what she could actually get up to and what she could do and what she was able to do as well without having the extra pressure on her. And she did fantastically at Birmingham. And like, she scored 2 goals the other night for Finland as well. So I think she could be the little gem that we've always thought that she could be. I think she could be that little missing piece next season as well. But yeah, it's been an interesting one. I have to say, I haven't been the biggest fan of either.
Okay.
I think he sometimes takes too long to make his substitutions. But I think as well, a lot of what we've thought about him may have been because of the relationship that we as fans had built up with Jocelyn, because Jocelyn was almost like a mate at this stage. You know, you go over, you chat to him, whatever. And we had that relationship with Jocelyn. And Eder is trying, he is chatting to us now. He's doing all that. So I think there's a bit of that going on there as well. But I've always said that if Michelle Kang is buying another team in Spain, I've thought that he would be back there managing that team, and Becky could be the next London City manager.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Because just kind of going back to when Jocelyn was sacked as well, that kind of came out of the blue for everyone. So I just think the team again took time to not only adjust to each other, but to adjust to that huge change as well.
Yeah, and now I know Paul doesn't like a lot of Michelle Kang stuff, and I have to say that there's a lot of stuff that Michelle Kang has done or with the club that I wouldn't be a fan of. I'll be the first to admit that. But what I thought was that they were trying to ensure, well, if you look at Jonathan Heraldes going from Barca to Washington Spirit, he had his second in command there do almost like an apprenticeship under him to make sure that they were playing the style of football that they wanted to do before he went off to Lyon. And it almost feels like that's what has happened between the three clubs. So everyone is going to play the same style. So if needs be, you can potentially have players swap over. And I have to say, Washington Spirit, it wouldn't be the first time that players like Wassa Sangare came on a loan from Lyon this season. But Nicole Douglas did come from Washington Spirit to London City in 2024. So that's something, and that happened just after Michelle Kang bought the club. So that happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago at this stage. Do you know what I mean? So it feels like sometimes that whatever way that the three clubs want to play, it can be that whether it's the players or the coaching staff or whatever, everything can be interchangeable at some stage.
Does it feel like maybe the clubs have become like a stepping stone for one another as well? Like, let's see if you're good enough for Lyon by putting you at this team, and then maybe let's put you on loan somewhere, and then
well, I think Wassa Sangare has been absolutely fantastic this season, and she came on loan from Lyon. She was absolutely amazing, and she's still really young. She got on last night against Ireland for France, a couple of minutes before the end. But I mean, you know, she's making the international squad as well, and I think it was feeling a little bit like that with London City, that you were okay. This is like a trial club, but it's not anymore. It doesn't feel like that anymore, and there has been a change in some of the personnel in London City, and the last couple of games of the season, even being in Bromley at the games, there's been a different vibe, which I much prefer. Which is probably a little bit strange, maybe not, I don't know. I think we've been so close to what has gone on in the club before and known what has happened, that when something changes and you can feel it, it kind of almost brings you closer to the club again, if that makes sense. Because there was for a while that we felt as a fan, well, me anyway, I can't speak to everyone or for everyone. I mean, everyone can feel whatever way they want about the club. But there was for a while that it felt that we were almost a little bit alienated from the club. But definitely the last couple of games, it felt like that we were being brought back into the club. And I thought that was a really positive move.
Because that's why, and you know, people, and maybe us included sometimes as well, you know, the image that we've spoke about, you know, the club needs to remember like the fans and need to remember where that soul comes from and that love of football and that kind of thing. So and like you said, it kind of lost it for a while, didn't it, as they were trying to figure out what the team was going to evolve into and what it looked like. So so basically, is that soul coming back, Nessie, do you think?
I would like to think it is, that there's a little bit of something. And like the last game of the season, I had a really good conversation with the CEO of the club at the game.
Okay. Getting in there, Nessie, that's what we like.
No, but you know what I mean?
Grill them.
Is that Michelle Kang, or is that somebody else?
Martin Semmens, who, if you ask me, is probably the best signing they've done for the club. He's going to be the man that sorts out the Champions League stuff.
I think there might be a signing in the summer that might trump that. But
well, so far we'll say so far. But
does it feel like London City are basically 1/3 of Kiniska FC, or is there an actual where it's like, we fancy that player still? Because obviously we've been critical. I've been critical that Michelle Kang is basically playing fantasy football.
No, she's not. This is one of the conversation, or part of the conversation I had with Martin. Like, the way he explained it was that, okay, if you're setting up a new business, you have an initial investment that you have to put into the new business. So that's what they've done up to this point, getting it to where it is. But right now they have a budget. They still have a budget right now that they have to abide by. And they have to make sure that everything is within that budget. Whether people choose to believe that or not, that's up to them. Because Michelle has
their income. Because
like
Tom Gary said, it was 10 times their income for the promotion year.
For the promotion year, yeah, but you have to remember of the promotion year, the crowds that were coming and the people that are coming now, they're and the whatchamacallit, the sponsorships and stuff as well, they even got this year. Their income would be a lot more.
That's true.
Like, I mean, the MasterCard thing was kind of, I think it was kind of a given that it would be a MasterCard collaboration at some stage, because they also have the sponsorship with Leon. So that's a nice little nudge. Here you go. But just the bums on seats as well, they're starting to attract a lot more. And like, where was I? They played a Saturday game, and then I was going somewhere on the Sunday. Can't remember where it was, but I was over in Stratford, and I saw someone. When did they play this? It must have been the last game of the season, actually. They were all on Saturdays, weren't they? And then on the Sunday, I saw a man in his late 30s, 40s, wearing a London City shirt in the wild, not on a game day.
The Leicester spotted.
Not on a game day.
The Leicester spotted fan.
And it was like, hello, what are you doing? Oh, you're wearing a London City shirt. And he goes, yeah, myself and my daughters go to the games all the time. And I was like,
wow, okay.
And you're getting new people involved, and their merch game definitely has upped as well. Mind you, I don't have a London City teddy bear yet.
Not yet. You never know. They might do a deal over the summer. They might.
That's true.
Nessie is obviously someone who's very much within the LCL bubble. Because I've got so much I'd like to know about the project. What is the end game for LCL? Is it to just stay in the league? Is it
Champions League?
It's to get into Europe, and it's to win the WSL.
I haven't heard anyone say win the WSL. Have you?
But I'm just saying, what as a fan, what do you think the goal is? Do you think
want to win the Champions League?
Yes, you want to get into Europe.
Yeah, want to win the Champions League.
Yeah, I've put my views out of where LCR may or may not be aiming for, and one of the big pushbacks I got for a lot of people is Lyon are in the Champions League. So, what is your opinion on? Do you think that that'll be a way of LCL and Lyon being in the Champions League at the same time?
Yeah, I do.
Or is that you think Kang will find a way to circumnavigate that block?
I don't even think that it's going to be a huge issue for a second. She's been really, really clever over the past while, putting in, like, they have a guy in Lyon, they have a separate CEO in Washington. They have Martin Semmens in London City. They can work this out. I don't think it's going to be an issue. I really don't.
Do you think if the signing that everybody is saying is likely to happen, although other people are saying NWSL may sign Alexia, and an editorial club may sign Alexia Pérez instead?
So,
other people.
Alexia who?
The one that's not not Bonmati. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If she were to arrive at a club like LCL, what do you think it would do for the club? And do you think it could take LCL into the Champions League as early as, say, next season? Would she have that nuclear nitrous injection into the team? It could push it as far as getting into the top 3 next season if she were to arrive.
If you look at all the players that are there now, there's some really, really talented individuals. But they still haven't been playing entirely as a team.
I was going to say the top scorer was Freya Godfrey with 6, and it says with all the talent you have in that team, and she is the top scorer.
Yes,
there's a lot about it. It's all a bit of a mishmash.
It's still a mishmash. And then if you look at, I think it was the Spurs game. And well, I think over the past, even for Australia, I think Alana Kennedy has been great for the past few games. And it was like when things needed to get a bit of a kick in the arse, she gave the team a kick in the arse, and it was like, right, come on. And I think potentially some of that leadership that kind of fell off could have been when Aslani wasn't on the pitch, because for, let's say, the last half of the season, maybe the last couple of months of the season, it seemed that her legs were starting, I hate saying this when she got injured, but it seemed like her legs were starting to go, because she was coming on for, she was maybe not playing the whole game, or she was coming on for the last 20 minutes, or, you know, that kind of thing. She was getting subbed off a lot, about 60, 70 minutes.
Had the football left her? Had the football left her? Is that what we're, leave the football before the...
You know, but there was that kind of thing, and it could have been that there was a lack of leadership, I think, as well, that when they needed someone to say, right, come on, get your arse in gear, we have to do this. It's 90 games, it's not a game of 70 minutes. There was no one on the pitch to do that. And it became quite clear as well that Saki automatically got the captain's armband. I don't think Saki is good enough. Oh, no, I shouldn't say good enough. I don't think the leadership is there with Saki to be a captain, because if you look at how Jana Fernandez has been playing, if you ask me, I would give her the captain's armband right now, because she has been the one that, she's only what, 22, 23? She's been stepping up and she's been driving the team. When things needed to be organised, she's been the one that has been shouting there, trying to get people into position. And then again, when Aslani and when Malu Marchetto had the injuries, when the two of them had the injuries, it wasn't Saki who was the captain at that moment in time that was like coming over and checking how the players were. Two season ending, could have been career ending injuries, and it was Jana Fernandez that was coming over checking on her fellow teammates. And I just thought the way that she dealt with that was, for me, that was a leader. That was a leader. And I think they should hang
for Barcelona, didn't she?
Yeah. They should hang
tell.
on to her for as long as possible, because I think she is just going to be an absolute superstar. Absolute superstar. But I do think if Alexia, seeing as we'll be on first name terms.
It's all right. We call her Mariona in our club. So we have our Mariona.
You got first name terms with everybody else, isn't she? Because she insists on being called Alexia. We don't call her Pidea, apparently.
No, it's just a Spanish thing.
But I do think that will drive not only when the players surrounding her. There are good players, but I think having that presence within the clubhouse as well is just going to elevate everything. And I think as well, London City probably will be a little bit of a spectacle for a while. And that's probably why the team got the season tickets out and sold early in the summer. If you wanted your season ticket, get it now, kind of thing. Because if they're going to make these big signings, then, you know, there are going to be a lot more, oh, do you hear Mrs. Ballon d'Or down the road? She's going to be playing in Bromley. I mean, I've no problem with her playing in Bromley, Costa del Bromley all the way. I mean, it's going to be quite funny because there's going to be like, what, 4 ex-Barca players on the team. And but that all leads back in with having the same style of play. Like the guy who is the head of scouting for the 3 clubs is ex-Barca. There's a lot of ex-Barca. And I mean, I said it this time last year, if you can't beat them, buy them. And you know, and it's like,
and the motto's working,
yeah, if you can't beat them, buy them. And but just make sure you stay within your budget.
I'll just quickly say on to that. Firstly, I love the Alexia signing because they're going to be training 10 minutes from my flat, which is great. I never realised this, but I drove around my local roads. It's like, that's the London City Lionesses training ground. It's right on my doorstep. So that's very cool. Girls, also say, I love the fact that Alexia was saying, I don't want to sign a club that's going to rival Barcelona. And thought, but you've signed for LCL, which in the next 5 years could well be rivaling Barcelona. So I don't really get that one. But I must say, I am looking forward to Alexia Putellas in the next Sub Cup away match at
Tuesday night at Crystal Palace.
Tuesday night away at Crystal Palace or Ipswich Town or
In the
Sheffield, wherever
pelting
it is.
rain.
In the pelting rain, Alexia Putellas rocking up in that midfield in a away Sub Cup match. You know, it would be criminal. There'd be no TV cameras there because TV rights would be sorted for it. But I think that's what the nation needs: Alexia Putellas in the Sub Cup final.
It'd be nice to know if they managed to actually get a nicer shade of blue for the home shirts this season. That would be nice.
I'm very intrigued to see where this story goes. I've said to Prem, we must mention Durham, who look like are on the brink of doing a business. They are another side who are not affiliated with a men's team, but they do not have the luxury of Michelle Kang to help support them. They obviously were backed by, I think, some lottery winners, but I think it's pretty clear the money's run out or is running out. And I always fear with these clubs who have this noble venture of going it without the support of a men's team, and then you see them financially crumble. Lionesses, I'll stay in the course, see how long they last, see how long they can push it.
That's one thing, to be honest, I was quite fearful as well, because there was if you look at the group that took over OL Reign, like that was sold 18 months after it was bought a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, that was the chap who bought Crystal Palace as well, and he looks like
John Textor, who happens but this is the whole the incestuous mess that is football. Like John Textor was involved in Crystal Palace, was part of Eagle Holdings, who had money in Lyon as well. He had to sort it, whatever it was, so Michelle Kang could buy the women's team or get her percentages of the women's team. Now she's the president of Lyon Men and trying to put in a bid to buy Lyon Men as well. And like, what you don't want is something to happen somewhere along the way and like all the money just to disappear.
And I would look at Notts County ladies when the men's team went into financial difficulty.
Yes.
The women's team just went like that. And then that was a club, ironically, which was originally Lincoln, was going non-affiliated. They ended up tying themselves to Notts County, which brought them down. So, we wait to see how long what this story holds for LCL. Looking forward to see what happens next season.
So am I. Have to say.
It'll be interesting to see if they can build their own identity as a culture as more than just that club with all the money.
Yeah, I think it's really important that they do. I mean, every chance I get, I talk about where we've come from, and I try and talk about Dartford. I mean, the only reason I've always been a Liverpool fan. Anyone who knows me will know. Like, I have to check if I'm doing one of my silly little videos to make sure I'm not wearing a Liverpool shirt. Do you know what I mean? That's my kind of my wardrobe when I'm not at work or whatever. It's just football shirts, and I've lots of Liverpool ones. But the reason I started going to watch football is because I wanted to go to all the state. I always loved football. Always loved football. Like, I nearly got kicked out of school because I was in a girls' school and they didn't want us to watch the game when Ireland qualified for the World Cup in 1990. So I nearly got kicked out of school over that. But do you know what I mean? Nuns, what can you say? But but I wanted, I was moving slightly outside London, and I set myself the task to try and go to as many stadiums as I could. And when the men's game is just way too expensive. So it's like, okay, what games can I go to? What games are around? What clubs are around? And is there a club around that I can go to that's not affiliated with the men's team? And that is why I went to see London City. Then realised that I was just so lazy that the train went from outside my door to Dartford. And I was like, right, that's it. Do you know what I mean? But that was that was it. And when I went to Dartford, it was just such a lovely atmosphere. And yeah, there might have been 60, 70, 100 people there, but it was a lovely, lovely community atmosphere.
Was this the Prince's Park?
Prince's Park, yeah.
I went there for a, as it was then known, the Conti Cup tie. I was there for a quarter-final with Arsenal.
4-0, was it?
The 4-0, yeah.
Valentine's.
I literally I was trying to get the buses, and the buses were all late. And I literally got in about 5 minutes before kickoff, and it was a pretty packed crowd. I must admit, it was a pretty good attendance, and
Yeah,
it was a good cup tie.
that was the biggest attendance until the Arsenal game this season. But that one, if you remember, that was postponed or cancelled because of a flooded pitch. And it was a big thing. There was the big thing where Rusha supposedly got her watering hose out and flooded the pitch because she didn't want to play the other two.
As a club that's not affiliated with the men's team, what's your thought of them trying to hijack Millwall's ground for some of the bigger games?
Right. So until recently, I passed the Den twice a day. And the Den was always somewhere that I was like, I have to go to a game. I have to go to a game. And in 12 years, I did not go to a game. And I always thought it quite funny. You got on the train and was like, no one likes us. We don't care stickers on the train. I always thought that was funny. But I also was well aware of the amount of community work that both Charlton and Millwall did within that area. So I was living in Hither Green in Lewisham, and I was like Charlton and Millwall and Dartford or Bromley even now. They were all the same kind of distance away from me. So it was, yes, past the Den twice a day. My condolences. Yeah, I did. I had to get the train. The game that I was really looking forward to all season was the game at the Den, believe it or not. When someone said it to me at the Arsenal game in the Emirates, oh, did you see that this game is down on the listings to be played in the Den? And I'm like, it's not going to happen. But realistically, looking and trying to make myself as aware as possible of the history of the club and what happened.
Yes.
I mean, you're always going to get three sides of the truth. So there's their side, the other side, and what actually happened. So I'm trying to get as much information as I can. And there's lots of information online about what happened and why Diane had to sell the club when she did, and what happened and how she bought it and what happened when she was buying it. It came to a point, as far as I'm aware, where the club were finding it really tough. As far as I'm aware, and from what I've heard, there was a stage where the team were getting meal deals for their lunch when they were training.
This is when they were Millwall Lionesses, is that right?
No, not when they were Millwall.
This is after that, the breakaway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is where we get into just before Michelle bought the club. But I have been told that Millwall said, yeah, you can use Millwall Lionesses name, but we're not putting any money in. Now, again, there's, as I said, there's three sides to the truth.
Yeah, it's truth. Yeah.
But if I can see why London City want to play in the Den. It's closer. Bromley is a bit of a pain to get to. You. It's like a 20-minute walk from the station if you don't get that little bus. If you don't know the area, it can be half an hour, maybe more, from the city centre. If you're going to the Den, it's 5 minutes from London Bridge. It's just so central. It opens you up to a more international audience as well, because we know that we're not, as a fan base, we know that we're not going to get Chelsea fans or Arsenal fans. We don't have the population that we can rob all the fans from. So if we have to also have a tourist industry, bring them in. Let us convert it.
Yeah,
exactly. If you look at the social media posts on game day, they don't just say that the game is happening at 12 midday. It's around the world. They give you the time zones and they tell you what times the game are happening around the world. So if they're if there is going to be big names, Ballon d'Or winners playing, great. Let them play in a big stadium. I always think that London City seem to play better in a big stadium rather than a smaller stadium anyway. But for me, Millwall was just a really good day, really good vibe. And if Millwall, and I don't mean this in a patronizing way whatsoever, but if Michelle Kang has the money and there is something that money can be used for to put towards the now Millwall Lionesses, let them take her for everything she has.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I people know I do a lot of stuff with the history of the women's game and trying to learn as well as write about it. And I was having a discussion with someone, and they were saying, I was talking about Millwall Lionesses and London City Lionesses, and they were saying, well, isn't London City Lionesses just a continuation of Millwall Lionesses? I said, no, Millwall Lionesses it's different. But what's interesting is there's some things like linked items on certain websites where they have actually transitioned the name by mistake. And my feeling was always with LCL is you chose to break away from Millwall. You can't then sort of come back in and say, oh, by the way, we want to break away from you, but can we use your stadium when you're not using it? It was like, well, no, you chose to break away. And the fact there is a Millwall Lionesses women's team, and you feel if there's a Millwall Lionesses team and you've got London City Lionesses, the Millwall Lionesses team should get the dibs on the den. And that's
I totally agree.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
It feels like a misprioritization. And I thought I'm assuming Michelle Cairns planning to build a stadium anyway.
Yes.
That seems to, like with the Brighton plans as well with their team. So I assume at some point there'll be, I don't know where it will be, but I assume there'll be a massive stadium built.
Put it this way, I believe that there is a 10-year lease in Bromley, and that they're hoping that will be gone kind of halfway through. I can't see that happening, but
should also say Bromley, Hayes Lane, Arsenal heritage. Arsenal ladies used to play there. But there's some rather nice places in Kent I could highly recommend. Just outside my house would be rather nice for a big stadium to be built right on my doorstep. We'd be very close to a training ground. It could be maybe an all-in-one thing. It'd be quite nice. That just did rankle with me a bit, because I know Millwall and Lionesses have a lot of major heritage in women's football. Sadly, it's fallen away from them, and obviously now LCL are doing their own path. That just seemed a bit. I can understand why, and it makes sense because the Den is a heritage stadium. It's a bigger ground, and was it Chelsea game they played there? And
yeah,
was it I can understand playing there, but it just felt a bit skullduggery. But the moment they get their own main stadium, it won't be an issue because they'll just play all their games there, and that will be the LCL Citadel, and that will be just where they play all their games.
Yeah,
I
reckon
they're not trying to take it back, are they? It was
that's what I felt like. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, but luckily, what Linda's just said there, thankfully Millwall have ring fenced that money from the match for the women's team. Good,
brilliant,
as they should.
Good.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Nessie. Obviously, we could talk forever, couldn't we? And I think we even talked about doing a special at one point because there's so much to cover. But to just kind of wrap it up, what do you hope for kind of this summer and next season? Where would you like to see the team continue to grow and build for next season?
Positive football.
Yes,
that's positive football. I think that for me would be a major step. There was too many times that they were just playing around the back, afraid to just go for it. I mean, to coin a Jurgen Klopp kind of phrase, a little bit of rock and roll football wouldn't go too far wrong. Or as I said to Eder, we need more Linkin Park, a little bit of rock and just just a little bit more. That's what I would like to see. Just a little bit more front, a little bit more front-footed. I think they were trying to find their feet a little bit, but they shouldn't be afraid of or fear any other teams. They earned their right to be there. They earned their right to. They ended up in 6th, not too shabby. And okay, what can we do from here? I would love to see them. Yeah, I'd love to see them beating, let's say, Mark Skinner's Man United. God, that would be awesome.
Well, that's the thing, kind of pushing those top teams. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've been doing okay, but again, they have a tendency to not do great with the teams that you think that they should easily beat, and kind of put up a better fight against some of the bigger, like the Man City game in Bromley. That was a decent game. Yeah, that was a good game. You know, so I would like to see a little bit, just, you know, every game is there to be won, and don't sit back, put it forward. But this all depends on whether either can keep it up in the WSL. Like, I think a lot depends on how he does. And I don't know if, like, realistically, a lot of the points they had on the board were there when Jocelyn was sacked. And the second half of the season, like after Christmas, was just depressing. Like, it really was. It was like, come on. I was like, this is no fun. Do you know what I mean?
Give it a season, and Jonathan Hiraldes will be the manager at LCL. You'll see he'll be airlifted in from Lyon, and he'll be brought into LCL to get them on track.
Well, the reason that I was talking about Becky is because Becky, during the games, Becky's the one on the sidelines, whether it's a language issue or what, I'm not sure. But Becky's the one who's
Coaching
directing
issue.
everyone. Yeah, on the sidelines. And I mean, I even said it on an Instagram post, like, she was on the side of a team photo at the end of the season. She should have been front and center. Like, she's been, during the game, she's been there doing the hard work as well. There's a lot. Yeah, front-footed football. We'll see how Lorena does, and we'll see what and we'll see what the goalkeeper situation is going to be, because
yes, of course,
they've almost got a team of goalkeepers, so you know it's.
Well, if Sophia Pua can come back to Villa, please, that would be lovely, because we currently have
an amazing keeper.
She's brilliant, and just needs more time, doesn't she? Still so young. But yes, of course. So for those who missed it, Elena Lette has signed a contract extension, but of course the rumours are that Mary Earps is coming to London City. So it'll be a case of, well, if that does happen, who's going to be first pick and who's going to be put on the bench, of course. But yeah, do you think there's going to be much movement, Nessie? I know we've talked about a few key players, but outside of that, do you think there's going to be much else going on?
Well, we can talk about Mappy Leon and we can talk about Earps, and I think now is probably a good time, because before Paul even brings it up, right, so I started LCL Pride as just this little platform for fan-fueled media and stuff, and I called it LCL Pride because, well, Pride was the Pride, you know, the nickname of the club and everything, but I think, seeing as it's Pride Month as well, it's really important to recognise that I'm a member of the LGBTQ community, and one of the things that is so fantastic about women's football is that it can be so inclusive. So I think that's really important that we try and keep pushing that as much as we can. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are, come along and play football. Which is in regards to what Paul said before about Mappy Leon and what happened last season. What I will say is, at the end of the season, the championship winning season in Birmingham, I had to report some people for homophobic and transphobic comments towards London City players. And that was absolutely horrendous. I will never say who those players were, because it's not fair on them. They don't need the exposure. It's just absolutely crap that happened. And yeah, there's absolutely no way that I would put up with that. Absolutely no way. Now we know that Mappy Leon had, what was it, a 2-match ban or whatever it was last season.
Yeah.
And we do know as well that Ingrid, or whatever the girlfriend's name was, potentially, was potentially coming to London City last season, but ended up going to Lyon. Now, this is really, really awkward and really, really. So Mappy Lyon was the first, if I'm right, was the first player to come out as LGBTQ in the Spanish league in 2018. And for her then to receive a ban last season was disappointing. It was also something that you would hope wasn't done on purpose. But you also have to look at it from the other side, from the player who is on the receiving side, and you would not want any player to feel that that's their job. They're on a place, they're in their workplace, so you would not want them to feel uncomfortable in their workplace either.
Yes.
So I'm acknowledging both sides, and I would hope that if she comes to London City, that if something did or didn't happen or whatever it was, that lessons have been learned, because especially right now in the world as we're in, she will lose an awful lot of fans if there's any bullshit, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that before anything. I'm not accusing, I'm not taking sides, I'm not doing whatever, but we are aware of what happened, and it's an awkward one, but she's a bloody brilliant defender.
And you can see why Michelle Kang went, yep, I would like you in my squad, please. And that's the thing, isn't it? You don't want to judge players for their personal kind of what they do, but of course actions, you can't then take that back, can you? You can then learn from it, like you say. She had a ban, so hopefully that was a one-off and it never happens again. But you also hope, if it were to ever happen again, that the club would take the right action, because like you said, it's just not worth losing that credibility, more credibility, and the fans as well, is it?
And like as I said, we try to be inclusive. I have been approached because of the name LCL Pride, and people have said, "Oh, are you an LGBT thing for London City?" And to be quite honest with you, I never felt I needed to be an LGBTQ inclusive group for London City, because we didn't have a men's side and we didn't have that traditional kind of girl, if you know what I mean. So everybody is as everybody should be themselves. So it doesn't feel like we have needed to have an LGBTQ group, but we just need to be aware that the way we feel, we need to make sure that everybody feels that they are in a safe, comfortable, safe space when they come to see London City.
Yes. Yeah, no, agree with you 100%. And we need more people like you, Nessie, to spread the good word of London City, to show that as much as people may jest about the fans and things like that, it's like, no, real club with a real identity that is being built with real fans that
I
do.
love how you've absolutely destroyed any challenge I was going to give, because you've just addressed it and said, yeah, we know this is going to happen.
I can say Paul is going to rant about X, Y, and Z. I will address that first before he even gets a chance.
Nessie's been taking notes. She's got streams of notes for everything, every possible permutation to be on. Yeah, she's done her homework.
Not my first rodeo, buddy.
I've taking notes through the season of whatever's Paul said. Like, right, I'm going to challenge him on that.
I've got nothing to challenge.
Wow.
You've said everything that I would have hoped.
Can someone write that down? Note that for the football annals, just to say,
exactly. Paul has been silenced.
The only thing I can say is agree with you and say the only thing that I would possibly challenge London City to do is if they got out ahead of it, and if they did sign Mappy Lyon and the incident was addressed, because one of the main problems that I've seen in other sports is these things have happened and everyone's just kind of hoped they'd forget or tried to forget them. So if Mapion comes over and says, yeah, this happened.
I was an idiot.
It was a horrible incident.
Yeah.
You know,
there's an element of that though, isn't there? Like giving it more attention. So you run that danger. So I mean, if it was very much last season I learned from some experiences, like if it's phrased the right way, then maybe that will go down well. But I think that's a very, very fine line, I think, without giving it the attention it does not deserve.
As someone who is occasionally guilty of it, you go with London City are there to be shot at. And we've seen it with the Puteas signing where people have gone, including me, have gone, this is a money signing. Puteas can say all she likes, but she's getting paid.
Well, there were friends of mine who were saying, Alexia's saying all this stuff in the press. I think, can't you just be honest and just say, yeah, I've won everything in football. I'm just going to take a big paycheck and enjoy some English football. I mean, and we would go, yeah, fair enough. Like,
enjoy the experience.
There's no shame in that. Just say you're taking the check and you want to play in a really good league. There's a reason why Spanish players are all going to WSL. It's a better league, the more competitive league. Just say we wouldn't begrudge you it. It's just I think anyone will try and spin it in something else. Yeah.
I don't think anyone begrudges her really saying, I don't want to immediately play in a direct rival to Barcelona. I don't want to be in a position next season.
Hang on. Which then led to Man United fans going, she sees us as a direct rival to Barcelona, and that's why she's not come to Man United. We're so flattered. It's Aston Villa. Same reason why Aston Villa are direct rivals to Barcelona. That's why she hasn't gone to Aston Villa.
No, that's because she didn't want the 50p in a Mars bar that we had offered her.
She didn't fancy the flat in Small Heath. She thought she at least might get, Michelle King might pay for a swanky apartment in London.
Yeah. Much rather than Walsall, yeah. Right then, I think that's a perfect place to wrap that chat up. Thank you so much, Nessie, for that. Are you sticking around for a bit, or are we saying goodbye?
No, I'll stick around for a bit.
I
have to see what Crunk says. My man, Crunk.
Oh yeah, Crunk, we've left you on hold for too long. We've got to get the City.
I was going to say,
champions. We appreciate the patience.
No, we do indeed. But Crunk, I love how many fans you have throughout the football world.
I am a big fan of connecting, and where I live, there's no big football culture, so I enjoy being, enjoyed by other people. It's a good time. It's a football community for sure.
I was going to say, here we are bringing everyone together. That's what we really wanted to do for this show. Yes, but hey, we're going back right the way to the top of the league, top of the table. There you go. There's your Man City. I mean, looking at those stats, obviously we know what kind of season they had, and you're going to tell us all about it. But looking at those stats compared to the teams that we have just seen, I mean, you've got 18 wins, 1 draw, 3 losses. I mean, those numbers are just incredible by themselves without any of the evidence and the goals to back it up. But yeah, Crunk, for you, obviously doing the double, winning the league, getting back into Europe, not too bad. Not too bad for a season, is it?
Too bad at all.
Talk us through it. Yeah, how was the season for you?
It unexpected. I mean, I did say the club would win the league, but I say that every year. Like I'm that person who you always back the squad.
You know what's going to happen. That's why, yeah.
Especially after losing out the way that they did, I would really say the last 2 seasons, just being so close and falling apart. Literally with there was one moment, I wish I could remember what match it was last season, but they showed all the injured players, and it was a starting 11 of injured players, including
I remember that. Yeah.
So to see where the club is now, bringing in a bunch of new players, everybody being able to stay healthy. I wasn't the biggest fan of Gareth Taylor, and definitely was not a fan of Nick Cushing. He had me for one match. It was a couple. The championship or the first leg Champions League win against Chelsea. That
Yes.
was the literal peak where I was like, oh, he could be something, because he can't. I was at that match, and so like Carolyn basically single-handedly destroys Chelsea, but he pushes the players to make sure that they get the attention, and then he kind of walks up and everyone's like chanting for him and everything, and I thought it was cute, but I was a little interested by like he took the moment to be like, yes, praise me, and I was like, oh, all right.
Just to clarify, you are aware Nick Cushing managed City before, won them the league title before, and won them a load of trophies in a previous life. That wasn't Nick Cushing.
I am.
Yeah. Okay. So the way you said he was like this is a guy who just dropped in from nowhere. I didn't know where you were in the City journey. That was all. So
Yeah,
he has been successful.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm aware of that. It's
Yeah.
and I said I started off a fan of him, but you just quickly saw from the way that he kind of talked about the whole bunny situation of it all.
Yes.
Just really even when he started off basically being like, the second I have a chance to leave City, I'm out of here. I want to get back to men's football. Like the way that he came to the club, it wasn't great. So
yeah, his attitude just wasn't right, was it?
I just matched his energy. Yeah. So the injuries, Andre Jager's coming in also. He similarly to Cushing. Once upon a time, he had tons of success. It wasn't at City, but he won what was the equivalent of the UWCL. He won many leagues but again, that was like 2 decades ago. And I was one of the most vocal people basically being like, we really gonna trust this dude who was like riding dinosaurs at his heyday. So like see him be able to come to the club and do well. Just the way that the players were talking, they all seemed so energized and excited and talking about a lot of like freedom. They were saying a lot of the right words, and then even he was just like, hey, I have an open door policy. I want the players to feel comfortable. You could tell that he was doing everything that he could to establish a whole different like communication style, because with Gareth you could kind of tell it was like, do it my way. And so Jaggy came in and was like, yes, I have the ideas, but if you all aren't bought into what I'm trying to do, we can't hit the heights that we need to. With his success, that bought respect. He was a new guy, but also Jade Rose coming in, Amon Benet coming in, Grace Clinton, and the annoying all that swap, like losing Sparky, going to United, like that was painful. It was just, there was a lot of questions, but and then start off with Chelsea. Of course, that was not a surprise, and then losing to them. But I really loved how the team responded. What was it? 16 straight unbeaten before they then lost the League Cup game, but they went 13 straight in the league before losing the 1-0 to Arsenal. It was a literal 20-second blip in the game, and then that just what it was. But they got back locked in, and our biggest what beat City the most this season were the international breaks. Like that was their biggest weakness, was every single time they came back from an international break, they really couldn't seem to figure out how they weren't able to bring that intensity. You could see that they were lagging, they were slow, they couldn't find the inspiration. And Jegglers was asked about it multiple times, and it's one of those things like, do you call out the players? Or he did the cool, calm thing that he always does, and he's like, we'll figure it out. The players know what to do. I mean, they didn't. But we are where we are now. They've won. I really love like Jade Rose coming in and just locking down her spot, being one of the best center backs in the league. Like just a brilliant mind, incredibly physical. He does make bad passes on occasion that gets me to just like start having anxiety attacks during our watch-alongs, but he's just so strong on the ball. Having so many players out this year. Greenwood was out for a bit of time. Hemp was out for a long time. Mary Fowler, Carolyn Fugino, Miedema at the end of the season. Like there were just so many players that were out, and Andre was able to give the players the confidence to step in, and just, it didn't really feel like we lost anyone and kept everything similar, but there were like little tweaks here and there. Just so much. Like, how much more time do I have? Yeah, just big up everybody. The fact that like Lily Murphy and Grace Clinton, like these were players who stepped in and did a lot for the club last season, and they weren't great, but also those were a lot of like first year players being thrusted as starters in a team that has top aspirations. So it was really cool to see them do that. They really weren't able to get much playing time because of the people who stepped in being able to do well. Like Blink Kilday Brown. How could I forget about Blinky? Like, absolutely amazing. I posted a snippet of the FA Cup final, and just my show bro and I just going Blinky like every 20 seconds, just because she's so fantastic.
She's come on so much, hasn't she?
Yeah, like
was she the one they signed from Villa? Was she a Villa player?
Yeah, she's
one that Gareth
hated
Taylor
that roster, yeah.
Yeah, Gareth Taylor rang up Carla Ward and said, apologies, I think, but I've just signed Billy Kilder Brown, which I thought was a really weird thing to do.
He rang her to say, really sorry, Carla, but we're coming in for her and there's nothing you can do, essentially. It's a good offer. She begged him. She begged him not to take it. And look how that turned out. So, but no, she did incredibly well.
Could I just ask about the attack? Because we've got on the graphic here. Top scorer, Bunny Shaw. I mean, we've known, I think, for the last few seasons, Bunny Shaw is the best striker in the WSL, has been for quite a few seasons. And I always think 2 years ago, they would have won the league if Bunny Shaw hadn't been injured. And if Stina hadn't scored a last-minute brace in what was a dead rubber for us, but we'll gloss over that. But they should have won the league 2 years ago. They blew it because Bunny Shaw was injured. Bunny Shaw has been fit this season. Lo and behold, Man City have won the league. Just a summary for obviously on her season, but also, were you at all worried that she was going to go to Chelsea?
I was worried that City were going to try to lowball her, like where she decides to go. That was up in the air. I didn't want to give the whole her to Chelsea. Like, it makes most sense because they're willing to pay the people and things like that. Yeah, of course. I might have had a crash out, but it was really, it started last season. At the end of last season, the final 2 months, we were just like, hey, this whole Bunny situation hasn't been figured out, and her being out with the injury, I would, if some people may or may not know my conspiracy theory about that whole injury of her missing out the last half of the season. But between how that all happened, I was really interested in Yeglers, because it was like whoever brings that person in is going to have to sell the club to her. Obviously, that's what Therese, and there are other people there to do that as well. But he's the leader. Andre is the person that she would have to talk to all day, every day, and work off of. So he was great. Bunny's absolutely amazing. Can score any sort of goal. What she can do with our build up, carry the ball up the pitch, hold the ball up. She can find almost any pass. She is more selfless than anyone. Well, anybody who doesn't watch City consistently will give her, because that was a lot of the conversation about who is the best striker in the world. A lot of what people would say is that Bunny is just like a goal scorer, but if you watch her, she's all over the pitch in the midfield. She'll drop all the way back to the center backs if that means that she has to help bring the ball up the pitch. When it comes to set pieces, she's so great at getting the ball away. Like the way that she helps our team in every single, she scores goals and she prevents goals. So just like she is a complete forward in all the ways, and she's only getting better. And she started off as a midfielder. Well, it doesn't surprise me that her move to striker has been as smooth as it's been.
So did she come to City as a striker, or did she come to City as a midfielder and they made her a striker?
I believe she came to City because she came from Tennessee. It's an orange team. Wow. Yes, Tennessee. And she was a midfielder in college. And so I think maybe they were like, hey, we see what you can do and we think you'd be best as a striker. And I remember when we first started our podcast, Tom is he's technically our women's expert. I feel like I've gotten a lot better. He covers Kansas City Current here in the U.S. But before Bunny got consistent play, that's all he was screaming was like, Gareth, please play her. Every time she plays, she scores. Like, look at her. And eventually he got there. It took him a while because nobody can tell Gareth Taylor what to do.
I think Ellen White was ahead of her at the time. I think it took Ellen White retiring for him to actually give Bunny
and
a go.
She was not, and she was in respect to Ellen White, legend, all that stuff. But her final season or so, she wasn't up for it. You know,
he's got one goal, I think, by the end of it. Another striker, Miedemar, obviously used to play for us. And then
thank you, by the way.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, her departure caused a bit of a rift in the fan base. There was a lot of anger, not towards specifically, let's say, Miedemar, but it was a lot of upset over the fact that Miedemar departed and went to Manchester City. Had a very injury hit first season. I think we could probably agree. She's obviously had a terrible ACL and
just had another surgery.
Yeah, she had a clean-up on her knee. No player is ever the same after an ACL. I will stand by it. Some come back close to, some never the same. But this season, how has she been? Have we seen the old Miedemar?
I think
is she still a bit?
So the perfect example is of her goal that she scored in the WFA final. She came on as a sub. She gets the ball way back in enemy territory, just diagonal pass to the side, starts a break, and then literally is just running with all her might all the way up to the pitch to then head it into the goal. And I was just like, there we go. It's like, that's why I was actually shocked when it was announced that she got the knee surgery, because I was like, I just watched her do all that running. So if she's doing that, she feels a little bit more comfortable, a little confident, because a good example is the one goal that Olivia Smith scored in Arsenal's win. In that goal itself, Miedema was kind of beat deep, and because it was just like pass. She was just kind of like jogging, and you could tell that she wasn't exactly 100% thin. Sometime in that way, she got a lot better. But her as a 10, she's been immense because she can drop back. And she just instantly has the vision. She has the technique, the ability to just instantly hit the ball to Hemp, Fugino, Carolyn. We have all these Bunny. We have all these players who want to just move vertical, get up the pitch, and that all that attention, it just allows Miedema to kind of sneak in at her own pace. She doesn't have to be like breaking lines with her runs or anything like that, and she can just kind of come in and do what Miedema does. So like that's her and Bunny together are just like so good. And that's what I was like fearful about them being like, hey, we got Miedema. We don't necessarily need Bunny. There's like, I think Miedema is for sure a 10 now, and she needs to stay that way, because I also think that will be best for her career too, for like longevity. And like, it's just a lot less work. She's not in there banging with center backs all the time, being like the main target. It's going to help her career, I think.
So just looking for Miedemar's next Arsenal player, it looks like you might be getting another Arsenal player over the summer.
Another announced it.
Another very popular Arsenal player in the fan base. But you're losing at Huabi, I think, who was quite popular with the fan base as well. Where is it she's off to? Does it know yet?
It has not been announced yet where Wahhabi is going to be. Right. The rumor is back to Spain.
But so it sounds like you're getting Niamh Charles from Chelsea, and Beth Mead from Arsenal. Just excited, intrigued, hopeful. We know what Beth Mead can bring, but
and with Charles, inconsistently, I wanted City to get younger at that left back position, so bringing in Charles does it, but not really. And then also with her dealing with injuries herself, we have UWCL, so that helps with both of those players coming in. And I think that's really what it's going to be. Losing Wahhabi, losing Coombs, like they were veteran presence. They were a veteran presence on the squad, being able to bring attention. I'm older than them, but losing olds like that on a squad, like you kind of need to replace that experience
quality,
and know-how. Yeah, and so that's what these two moves that have been announced will be. Yeah, Charles had a medical. Yep. So it's I think I like it. It makes me. I was worried about McCabe coming to City. Like I probably
Really?
I would have hated that.
Really?
Well, because
Wow.
that's the thing. Because I loved it. Nessie, you could have just shouted this, but we'll take it. Why has the McCabe move got more aggro than the Miedemar move? Because obviously, going between Chelsea and City, like, these three clubs have got so much history and so much rivalry because of their being top three.
I think it's the London. It's the London
When
part,
you
isn't
say
it?
It's just that
when you
London
say-
element.
When you say aggro, do you mean to just say it's just here specifically from Arsenal fans? All I can say is so the Miedema transfer. Okay, I will talk about McCabe more in depth when it's my turn. We're talking about Arsenal, but what I can say is the Miedema transfer caused aggro, and the McCabe transfer also called aggro. There were just different kinds of aggro directed to different people.
Yeah.
The McCabe aggro, the McCabe transfer aggro is directed at McCabe and her decision to go to Chelsea, and there's other stuff there. The Miedema departure the anger was directed at Jonas Eidevall.
Yes.
And the anger was blamed on him, not the player that Miedema left.
Yeah.
That was the difference. And that's what caused a bit of a division in the fan base. There was some feeling, well, it's all played out as it's played out. But at the time, Jonas didn't have strong currency with the fan base, and the Miedema departure kind of robbed him of any outstanding credit he might have had. Whereas McCabe is basically been seen as like a Sol Campbell going to Arsenal.
Yep.
Yeah. And there's so many words going on social media about that, but that's something I'll dabble a bit more when it's my turn. But yeah, that's kind of the difference between the two.
Yeah. Because kind of looking at, we talked about stats in key players and how most teams have kind of one central goal scorer, and they need more. Whereas we look at City's stats, and yes, we've got Bunny Shot out on 21, so she's 21 goals, 4 assists. But then you've got Miedema, 10 goals, 5 assists. Carolyn, 9 goals, 5 assists. Figino, 5 goals, 3 assists. Kasparai, 3 goals, 7 assists. And the list goes on and on and on. And it's like, is there, I've asked everyone else about, is there an underrated player? It seems like every single person on this team has their own skill that is coming to fruition. But Crunk, for you, is there anyone underrated on this City team this season?
Underrated. That is tough because I would have to say it, and because underrated, I would still say it's like a Blinky. It's like a Jade Rose, because these are players who had
because Tom mentioned Jade Rose earlier.
Yeah, they had one of these seasons that you could rank them as a top. I'm going to say be respectful, but that you could have them as like a top 10 player in their position this season, and you just wouldn't expect that out of them. And so because you don't have, it's such a small sample size with both of those players, you could easily just be like, hey, it was just one season. Let's see what they do next year. But even Kasparai, because a lot of the work that she did was at the beginning of the season. Hasegawa, everyone loves and respects her, but because she was given the green light to move up the pitch a lot, like she found herself in spaces that I haven't seen her in the last 2-3 seasons. Like I want to see her there. We see her there in Japan, but it just wasn't really with City. So there were definitely some times where I was like, wait, where is Yui right now? And so yeah, those two, I would just say it's these first year players coming in, and just like even Blinky, Sam Coffey came in, but Sam Coffey still was on the bench for, I think it was like 3 or 4 games. You could kind of see that all of the.
I completely forgotten that. I forgot that you'd actually signed Coffey.
Yeah,
which says a lot. And there was so much fanfare about Coffey, and there's a lot of people in the Arsenal fan base thinking, why weren't we signing Coffey? Why are we letting City sign Coffey? I forgot. I'd completely forgotten that she actually did she start the cup final? I had to miss it for work reasons.
No, she was injured. She got surgery. Well, Coffey did, yeah. So Blinky started that and was absolutely amazing. Like Blinky for the first half of that final was City's best player. Everybody else struggled. They were very slow. Like I actually haven't talked to Duncan since the final. So I guess quickly, what were your thoughts on Blinky? And you're gonna
hate me, Crunk. I think Blinky's your most overrated player.
Ooh.
I knew it was going to be
We're not-
controversial.
Well, then you can go ahead and mute yourself.
I should just
she's-
say a big confession to Rib. For some reason, for this whole recording, I cannot hear anything that Duncan says. I don't know what is wrong with my IT system, but
Oh.
Duncan is mute every time he talks. So I have no idea what was
Hello,
said.
hello.
But
Can everyone else hear me?
all I've got is
Yeah,
his
we can hear you,
reactions and his
Duncan,
Oh,
movements.
yeah, that's good,
everyone
okay.
else. Sorry, everyone else can hear you. It's just me. But
Okay.
so
I won't take
apologies.
it personally. I won't take it personally. No. That was a bit reactionary. No,
Right.
she's not the most overrated player. She is a very, very good player. There's no doubt about that. I think the thing is what happened in that game was Brighton came out, were very aggressive. City were on the back foot. They were a bit confused, I think, by the style that we were playing and how to react to it. The problem is they then went and scored the first goal, which meant that suddenly Brighton had to adapt to City instead of the other way around. And then the second goal before half time is the real dagger in the side, because basically then Brighton had to go, you said about Miedemar's goal. I mean, we had like probably one defender or two defenders at that point, because what's the point in not? So from a Brighton perspective, I thought we gave it a really good go.
You did.
But it wasn't to be, and exactly like you were saying there, Crunk, like you were able to bring on the likes of Miedemar and people like that. And that was just something that Brighton couldn't cope with, especially at sort of like 2 or 3 goals down already. But yeah, I do have to stick up for our captain, Maisie Simons, who somehow has in pretty much most measurable statistics and also sort of aggregated scoring that works on passing accuracy and things like that, is actually above Blinky for most things, and also plays for a worse team, but never seems to get a look in at international level, which I think is absolutely disgraceful. I don't know what she's done or what's happened, but
okay. I have something, maybe I could help you out, because what Blinky does well in the squad, because she has all these other players who can do the ball carrying, the distribution, the goal scoring. She is just literally there. She has found a way to be important without, necessarily being needed. Like what she does is very important. Whereas your player is kind of key and pivotal to it. She's like, I feel like maybe that the England squad has players that maybe does something what she does, where Blinky, her whole thing, she said in an interview a couple weeks ago that she is aware that she's a tiny person. So she needs to be able to bring the ball in and get it out faster than anybody can come and hit her, because the conversation was about the physicality in the league. She's like, okay, well then I don't have to worry about getting tackled if people can't tackle me, if there's no ball for them to tackle me. And I just, her ability to keep the play moving, get the ball moving, step in where she needs to be, like, while also like avoiding getting knocked around and pushed around and stuff like that. That is admirable. And so I think that that's what kind of gives her a little spot where she can be successful without necessarily being a key part of the gameplay.
She's a very good conduit between the midfield and the attack, I would say. So yeah, no, you're spot on. And I think she was already a good player before she came to Man City, and she's got better. And that's what you want to see, isn't it? Yeah, there's a few other midfielders in the England squad I'd like to take a few pops at, but I won't.
But that's great to hear about Blinkilda Brown, because a lot of the criticism we kind of had at Villa was the fact that she was trying to take on these much bigger players because she is so small, and she was then coming off the worst, and then high turnovers and things like that. So the fact that she's kind of recognized that, and she's saying, right, well, what can I do about it? I mean, that's incredible. And for a young player to have that awareness as well is something really impressive, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And also I agree with this person about Eartha. She's been absolutely amazing. I had no idea what to expect from her, and every time she's played, she's been amazing. Like I hope she probably deserves to get more playing time. So like I don't know what that means. Like, does she leave? Like, come to City? She's definitely earned better pay. So if she does leave City, but like even if she's just, I think we're gonna have so many players loaned out next season because we just like I was just going through our list of like players 22 and younger who like will not be playing next season. So like honestly, Aston Villa, you should probably call City and be like, hey, you have a whole list
Love
of
to.
players. Yeah, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Yeah, 9 players that we have that I think will be
We'll take
excess.
them.
Yeah.
Every single one, will take, because that was actually going to lead to my next question, Crunk. Because obviously, with the Beth Mead and the New Charles news and that kind of thing, and obviously Europe coming up next season as well. Is it a case of Jägerlöts is looking at that squad and thinking, okay, we've got a lot of people registered now. Is it a case of moving on those that are definitely not going to get playing time, whether that is a loan or a complete sale, and actually making sure whoever you do bring in, regardless of numbers, are then going to help support that challenge for Europe? Do you think? Which thing's going to happen this summer?
Yeah, I am a little worried who might leave with some of these players who've come in, because I have been hearing a little bit about Mary Fowler. I think that would be very disappointing considering she's been gone all season because of an injury and then comes and the playing time will be there. It'll be available. Like Shaggy didn't play her much, honestly, even when she did return. I think she had more minutes in the Asia Cup than she did at City after her return. So like it was kind of disappointing to not see her so much, but I'm okay with him like protecting her and things like that. But she's a player who might be able to leave. But yeah, so many of the young players like Naomi Lazelle, Cody Thomas, Sasha Lewis, who like she's Rico Lewis's younger sister. I haven't seen much of her on a pitch, but I hear all these great things. I've seen videos of her playing. She's fantastic. Gracie Pryor, who I was very disappointed in last season, but also understanding she's 18, 19, like there's only so much expectations. Didn't see her much this season, but she did play a little bit the last few games, and you could see how much she grew. Like my biggest thing was she kind of ran like a Bambi, like the legs would like shake, and like when she would pass, like she had to like throw her whole body into it. Everything she does is a little more smooth now, so I would like to see her get more consistent playing time, like Maisie Davis, Oyama, who has been at City for the last 2 seasons and maybe has played 90 minutes altogether. Lily Murphy, who was dealing, her and Lazelle both dealt with injuries all the season, but look like great players who probably should get some starting time. So like those are all the players in itself that are like 22 and younger that I think will get loaned out. And there's still like Riza Shimizu, who's at Liverpool. Like we don't know what's going on with her. Like, so yeah, there are plenty of players that can leave. I hope none of the players in this from last season go. Like I would really hate to see Mary Fowler leave, because I don't where does she go? Like obviously she can go back to Lyon or something like that. Maybe she goes in WSL, but I think she really wants to do Champions League. She's such a young player. She managed her time off through her injury. Amazing. Like I really haven't seen that many people turn themselves into a star like she has. Like she's gotten out so many books. She did the work with, what was it, Maybelline, like doing the model and stuff like she's turned herself into like a known commodity outside of Australia. And like in Australia, she's like Queen Tings there in Australia, but now she's done her job to spread her name outside of that lovely country.
No, and that's the thing. So there's been a lot of talk, just to kind of the final thing to mention to you, but there's been a lot of talk about City being able to be so good this season because they didn't have Europe. So people are now doubting what's going to happen next season. Is it going to be as successful? Is the league going to suffer because more's been put into Europe? But of course, if you're building that squad depth, what do you think? Is it possible to do well in both? Or where do you think the club are going to prioritise, if they are going to prioritise one?
Before injuries took us apart, we did pretty well in Champions League 2 seasons ago, or last season. And when City do well this year, what are they gonna say? Because we're not in the Subway Cup this season. Like, that's what's holding us back. Like, I don't know. It's always an excuse. Obviously, not playing every other week that is beneficial, but I do think there are so many other players who this season can play. Like Caro, Abo Fagino. Who do you start over there on the right? Like, there are so many questions that you're going to have every single week. Lauren Blinky and Sam Coffey. Obviously, you pick Coffey, but still, there's that. There, even defensively, Greenwood had to play as our left back because Jade Rose and Kanak had to play. So, like, this gives more opportunity for players to be in their actual positions in games. I think with some of these moves that they've made, and I think there are a couple more players that will be announced, honestly, I think we're one of the better clubs in the league, probably set up to be successful in both competitions because of the depth. Arsenal and Chelsea are losing players and there's a lot of change coming, and you got to figure out what this new look of both clubs look like. Chelsea in itself, they seem like they're going to be a mess. No one wants to go play for Sonia Simeone. Like, I get it. So it's like, it'll be very, very fun.
I can think of somebody who does want to go to play for Sonia, but just saying. I can think
so like, and then the naturally the signing of Bunny, like being able to pay her what she deserves and has earned at City. That also is like, if the players there at the club want to be paid more and want Bunny money, then play well enough to get it. Like, it is one of those things, like, the club doesn't have to give everybody more money simply because they gave Bunny more money. If you just signed a contract extension, I don't know what to tell you. But also, I'm sure you could talk to the players and they would know and understand why Bunny is being paid the way that she is. So I'm just excited that they signed Bunny, what it says for the future of the club, the ambitions, their new training facility. There are so many things that says that the club is ready to hit a new, golden era.
Can we just trademark the term "bunny money" just to refer to a instance where a player is paid a considerable amount of money because they have had a very good season? That Elizabeth Turner, she's got a load of goals for Manchester United. They should pay her some bunny money to stay. That should be what the term is. If you have an outstanding season and you should get a new contract, say, need to pay us some bunny money.
Finally getting the money that the player deserves. Yes, absolutely.
Get their bunny money.
No, it has to be. And what a season she's had. But yeah, honestly, Krung, if everything pans out, I really am looking forward to see what City do next season. So yeah, thank you for popping on to talk to us.
Of course,
tonight.
anytime.
Yes.
You call, I will answer. I appreciate everybody. Good seeing everybody. I will say this now, because I don't know who's here, who's listening, or who will watch in the future. I bring people on for all of our match previews. So Adam, I'd like to connect with you as well for future.
Oh, you're too kind.
But I do need people for Birmingham City, Crystal Palace, and Charlton Athletic. I saw somebody in the chats. I don't know if they.
I was going to say we've got a Tom and a Graham for Charlton, so you're spoiled for Charlton.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So so if anybody's out there, please come to @Shades of Blue NW on all major platforms.
Yeah.
Feel free to reach out. Let me know. Again, pleasure chatting with everybody, seeing everybody. I'm going to go because I need to make dinner.
Fair enough.
No, pleasure as always, Krung. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Yes. See you, everybody.
See you soon. Bye. And then there were 4. Right, what a night it's been, everyone. Thank you so much for if you're still with us. As we said, No, as we didn't say, as we've seen, Nessie did have to pop off. But what a pleasure it was. Nessie, it certainly won't be the last time we'll have you on, because what a fantastic person you are. But yes, definitely chat to you soon. And if you are on social media as well, LCL Pride, especially on TikTok, and other socials as well, do go give Nessie a follow. But yeah, Adam, right, our last in-depth fan-led
Well,
club review.
All the depth for paddling pool, but we'll see how we do.
Well, I was going to say it because it is 20 to midnight. So what we'll do, let's, and we've still got 6 clubs to kind of briefly go through after this.
Yeah.
So let's do this. We can do it, because you don't have to go far. Because second, Adam,
Yes,
second
yes.
this season.
Second again, ole ole.
Hey, as a club who finished 9th, second sounds quite nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, looking at those stats, you've got Alessio Russo, top goal scorer at 13. You've got, oh god, can't my brain do that maths? 13. No, that's not right. 15. Dear me, it is time to go to bed. 15 wins, 6 draws, 1 loss all season. So again, I mean, that loss record is pretty damn good there. But yeah, talk us through it. How was the season for you? And again, Renee Sleggers seems to be doing a very, very good job indeed. What do you make of it, Adam?
Well, where do we begin? So personally for me, this season kind of passed me by. I couldn't go to as many games as I wanted to due to sort of work commitments. So unlike last season, which was a bit of a roller coaster, I had a big finish at the end and I sort of rode that one. This one, I was very much in and out. I said at the beginning of the season, I wrote a piece for the Gooner after winning the Champions League. I said, this is the window where we have just got to go for it. We can put our Champions League trophy on the table, on the negotiating table, and say, right, we need to get this squad turned over. We have aging players. We have players who are, we love and they're great, but they need upgrading on. The squad needs an overhaul. We've finished 12 points off Chelsea, I think it was, by the end of it. So we're quite way behind the top. Yes, we've won some competitions, but we need to go for the WSL. And there was a really strong feeling going into the season that this side would go for a title charge. And I don't think that was an unreasonable expectation, given that we won the Champions League. Now, we won the FIFA Champions Cup, the first ever edition of it. I was there at Emirates Stadium in the rain. It's a great moment. It's a great achievement. And, that's why we're happy to say we're champions of the world. But it glosses over the fact that the season was a failure. It was a failure. We did not win the FA Cup. We once again crashed out the quarterfinal stage. We failed in the League Cup again because we couldn't get past Man United. Again, we fumbled at the semi-final stage. The season was basically a copy-paste of last season, with the only difference is that we didn't beat Lyon in Lyon.
Yes.
That was the difference, because we didn't challenge in the league. We went out the FA Cup at the same stage. We went out the League Cup in the same stage. But we come away with a trophy, and that's really the only justification we had for the brilliant scenes with the women on the bus going through the streets of North London, with the men with the Premier League, and our women with the Champions Cup trophy. And thank God we won that, because it meant we had a trophy we could wave about, and it was beautiful scenes. But you can't get away from the fact that this season was a massive missed opportunity. When you consider what Chelsea failed to do this season, the way that their season nosedived quite dramatically. I mean, the 5-1 at the Etihad, put in contention of how far their season spiraled. And the problem is like last season, our season was over by Christmas. And it was over by Christmas because of the draws that we had at home to Villa, away to Spurs, at home to Chelsea. And then the big one was actually the loss away at Manchester City. With about 10 minutes to go, that game was 2-2. And given how the season's played out, if we'd won that game rather than lose that game in the last 5 minutes, whenever it was, mathematically, we would have won the league. Of course, the leagues don't quite work like that, because there's different narratives have flowed. But the frustration is that this was a major missed opportunity, that the work was not done in the summer that it should have been, that players that should have been potentially moved on were kept. the argument is that because those players were still under contract and you can't make players move, it's, for me, my opinion is, from an external looking in, the the club kind of, I don't want to say wrote the season off, but they kind of sort of almost like mortgaged it. They said, right, well, we're going to basically move our rebuild to next summer. So we're going to get through this season, get what we can out of it, and the next season is the rebuild. Okay, with its large shining neon letters saying this is a rebuild. So it's like, okay, well, I can accept that and accept what's going to happen if the rebuild happens. The rebuild is happening with mixed signals from both the club and the fan base and everyone else. There was a news story that broke. Well, there was a news article that broke before Christmas, which we talked about on the pod, but depth, which questioned the club, questioned Claire Wheatley's role at the club and how things were managed in there. Which I wasn't too surprised by it. I have my concerns with the club and potentially how it's run, if it could be run better. But I was very pleased to learn at the start of the new year that there will be a rebuild and there will be senior players who have been great servants to the club, but it's time to refresh and move those players on. Those players, as it's now transpired, because we can talk about it because they've happened or happening. Beth Mead is off to Manchester City, as you mentioned. Katie McCabe is now off to Chelsea. We've also learned that Manuela Zinsberger, long-term goalkeeper, is departed. She had her ACL injury. Sadly, she couldn't play last season, but she's off. Lia Kadina is also off. Victoria Pelova, who never, I said about her ACL injuries, she never got back into the club, into the team following her ACL and international duty, just as she was becoming a really important first-team player on the owner side of her. Her ACL injury just nuked her Arsenal career, and she's lost 2 seasons. And so she's hoping to get a fresh start. The carnage, and this is now leading on to the McCabe transfer, is Arsenal made a major error. I can understand why, but they made an error in they tried to revoke their decision to not give Katie McCabe a contract extension. They tried to back out of it and give her a contract extension. And my personal belief is, and others have shared this theory, is when Arsenal played Chelsea in the Champions League, Seth Catley was out injured, I believe, at the time. And so Lia Kadina was playing at centre-back. And it was clear that she was having a torrid time at centre-back. We should have had a goal conceded, which she managed to manufacture a scenario that meant that the ref thought a foul had happened, to put it delicately. And at half-time, Renee Slagers put Katie McCabe on to play at left centre-back. And she played well in that position. And I think there was an element of, could we play her at left centre-back? The problem is with Katie McCabe is she is a Swiss Army knife of a player. You can play her in any position and she'll play it really well. It's no point having her if you're only going to have her at left centre back, considering that the rumours are on your battery might be coming in. So I was disappointed in the club that they'd done it this late on. It meant that Katie McCabe did not get the send off at Emirates Stadium that she should have got, which was very sad.
Yeah, that was a big thing. Yeah,
it was very poor all round. Thankfully, we gave her something at Anfield on the last game of the season. But she has gone, and she has gone to Chelsea. So if we can move on to that scenario that's happened, so the McCabe transfer.
Please do. Let's go. Yeah.
So right, well, let's go through it. So this is multifaceted.
Because it was the rumour first, wasn't it? And it kind of built and then.
So the rumor originally was that she was going to go to Manchester City, and I think all of us went, okay, because I don't want to say this to sort of disparage Manchester City, but there is no animosity towards Manchester City. I'm not saying we don't care.
Yeah, it's kind of a league rivalry, but there's nothing much.
If a player goes, if Mina went to Man City, Mina went to Man City, okay, it sucks that Mina was gone. She's gone to Man City. We can live with that. Beth Mead's going to go to Man City by the sound of things. We're like, okay, we love Beth Mead. We love her to bits. She's been a great servant at the club. She's going to Manchester City. Wish her all the best. And we can understand why she'd go to Manchester City.
Yeah.
The McCabe transfer is personal. That's what it feels like to a lot of people at the club. Now, we should get the ground rules clear. Katie McCabe is a Chelsea fan. And it was known that she was a Chelsea fan. There was actually an interview she did with DAZN where she mentioned she grew up a Chelsea fan. I think her parents were Chelsea fans. She said, Damien Duff was one of her favourite players growing up, who was a winger at Chelsea. So she's very much a Chelsea fan. She came to Arsenal, but of course it's the old, I was a Chelsea fan, but I'm an Arsenal fan now. I'm playing for Arsenal, blah, 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 blah. So I don't begrudge her the move going to Chelsea because I understand it's a childhood club. So I get that. As an Arsenal fan, I don't have any emotional attachment to players. I support my club and I support the players who play for the club. And if the player departs the club, then I no longer support them. I respect them, but I my allegiance is to the badge, not to them. So
Yes.
seeing McCabe depart the club, I was like, okay, it sucks, but she's departing. Seeing her she's gone to Chelsea, I think is brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant. For as a neutral WSL, it is brilliant that a player like McCabe has gone from Arsenal to Chelsea, because Arsenal Chelsea is one of the biggest, I would say one of the fiercest rivals, comparable probably with Birmingham City and Aston Villa in the or Coventry maybe, I don't know. I think in the WSL, I think it was serious in terms of the fan base and the animosity. Arsenal Chelsea is probably one of the fiercest rivalries we have in the WSL at the moment. And this is something that will only crank it up further, which I think is brilliant. And whilst I don't have any of the animosity that a lot of the fan base have, I can understand that animosity because Katie McCabe was a much loved and much respected player in the team, for what she does, with her personality, with her warrior attitude on the pitch, for her housery. She was, she was a character. She was a character, and she was much loved. And we all remember her celebrations when she was a bit tipsy after winning the Champions League, and she decided to
a bit
get some
tipsy.
She's had a few. She had a few before she took the mic on top of the armory and led the fans from sing song chants. So she was much loved. But this scene is basically seen as a Sol Campbell transfer Spurs to Arsenal. It's that level of betrayal, and it's sort of there's a lot of fans saying, well, if you loved Arsenal, you wouldn't have gone to Chelsea. It shows how much you're disrespecting Arsenal. I was like, I think that's wrong. I think a player should go wherever they want. If they want to say, oh, I respect Arsenal, so I'm not going somewhere, fine. But I don't think, if you feel that, great. But I don't think you have to feel that. You're a player, you can go wherever you want. You shouldn't feel like I couldn't possibly go to Chelsea. I played for Arsenal once, so I couldn't. It's like, no, if you want to go to Chelsea, play for Chelsea. Play for the club that you supported as a kid. Nothing wrong with that. It has led to some blowback on social media. Now, in part, I don't mind that because I think that feeds into the pantomime of football, which I think is great, especially with fan rivalry. And there'll be chants and boos and pantomime boos in the terraces in the next Arsenal Chelsea game, which is great. I should say I do not condone abuse, and there are obviously fans who will always take it too far, and that applies in any situation. There are no doubt there are fans who have taken too far. For me, that's wrong. You know who they are. You know what they have said. But I think that simple, booing and catcalls from the stands is, I think, pretty harmless. And for McCabe, she's a player who will relish that. She loves being the pantomime villain. We know that because we know all some of the stuff she's done, like bouncing the ball off Chloe Kelly's head and, trying to, grab hold of Alicia Thompson's hair. So that's going to be interesting when they meet up on camp. But I think she will relish being the villain returning to Arsenal. So I think it's a brilliant transfer for the WSL. It is a kicker because, strengthening a rival. But we have to look at if it will pay off if the replacement coming in, which is highly rumoured to be Anya Batcher, if that is what comes through. It's like when I mentioned earlier with Noah Maritz. Losing Noah Maritz was a kicker because he was a really good right back, but we replaced her with Emily Fox. So it's like, okay, I get that. Katie McCabe, a brilliant servant for the club. I would not deny her quality at all. And I think she'll go to Chelsea and she'll probably be great. Great left winger, great left back, can play left centre back. She will give everything for the badge. But I think it was the right time for her to exit stage, left pursued by a bear, because she's 10 years at the club, won the lot. What better time to move on? The biggest issue I think that the fans have had is a very subtle one. It doesn't rattle me, but it rattled a lot of people, is that when she was unveiled as a Chelsea player, she tapped the badge. And that,
yes, there was a lot about the badge tap.
Yes, and that is sort of like the line you don't cross. But at the same time, my attitude is, you play for Chelsea now, and if you do that, that's going to stir content, it's going to stir interest. I can fully understand why you would do that, because it'd be a nonsense to say, well, I play for Arsenal, so I'm not going to tap the Chelsea badge. I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute, you're either fully committed or you're not fully committed. If you're committed to being a Chelsea fan, you can't harbour any feelings of the enemy. You are Chelsea now. So that Arsenal pass, you had a great time at Arsenal. You are Team Chelsea. So that means you are anti-Arsenal. That's the rules of engagement now. So
But surely do a badge tap when you score, right? Not 20 seconds into your sign of video.
Well, I think the club probably did it
yeah.
because the club knew it would go viral, and that is obviously social media. It's about going viral, and that did. And it, the
Certainly got
laugh
the
that
attention. Yeah.
the laugh that our Arsenal fans have over the announcement video is that we're in the announcement video because they wanted to have the Katie McCabe chant. So that Katie McCabe chant is Arsenal fans. So we're in the Chelsea video because Chelsea don't have the fans singing their chant. So they had to steal the audio of us singing her name when we won the Champions League. So we did have a bit of a chuckle over that. So yes, we are seeing fan favorite players leave. People will blame certain people for that. I've said for a long time the club needs a turnover. It needs departures. It needs players to go. Paradoxically, one of the big issues is that we still have not found a solution for playing without Kim Little, because I mentioned at the beginning,
yes,
we lost the league before Christmas. We lost the league in a period of time around October, November time when Kim Little, she got injured away at Leicester City.
Yes.
And we then drew at home to Chelsea. We should have won that game. There was issues with the ref. It's well documented. We lost away in Bayern Munich after being 2 goals up, and we drew 0-0 away at Spurs. And it was just stupid dropped points like that have ultimately cost us the league. So even though we are rebuilding, and there's the rumours are going around of Georgia Stanway, Onya Vatia, Reutler. I think Cersei was mentioned at some point as well. So there was a lot of players circulating around. We are still so reliant on Kim Little. We haven't found a means of. It's like when you're. That's one of the best way to describe it. Like, I'm on medication for life. It's fine. I'm on medication for life. It's just one of my conditions I have medication for. It's nothing major, but it's just I have it for life. I have to have it. And if I want to come off medication, it's like you have to have so many years without like a potential incident happening to then say you're fine. And it's like with Kim Little is we can't let go of Kim Little, because we know if we don't play Kim Little, there's a risk of something bad happening, which proves we need to have Kim Little. And it's going to happen. Either she's going to retire. Well, it is going to be that she's going to retire. At some point, she's going to retire. She can't. I mean, I think she's come up to mid-30s now, and it is incredible that she can play at the high level that she does at her age. But at some point, we need to find a solution to not play Kim Little. And it's not to say that Kim Little's bad. It's just it's going to be even worse when the light switch goes off and we've got no Kim Little.
And there's no one there. Yeah.
We've had to cold turkey Leo Velti going, and we've kind of got away with it by putting Mariona deep. But it's only prolonging the fact that soon Kim Little's going to go. This could be our last season. Next season could be our last season. But we saw this season when we lost her for a few weeks. Gone. That was it. Season's gone. The title gone. And the frustration is the fact that it felt like an opportunity, because Chelsea have been winning the title year on year on year. This is the season where they blew it. This is the season where they tripped over their bootlaces. They didn't win the league, and we should have been the first cab on the rank to go, right, we're going to go in and we're going to win the league. And we weren't. It was City. City won the league. But I do want to give a shout out to probably the funniest game of the season, which I was there for, which was our Champions League quarterfinal with Chelsea. Because I was watching it back. It's an utterly bonkers game in which both teams score 3 goals. Chelsea get 2 of them chalked off, and it's worth it just to hear on the audio Sonia Bombasta going absolutely berserk when the first Chelsea goal gets disallowed at half time, because we couldn't hear it in the stands. I was watching it, and it's so funny to watch back. But to have that moment and just to have her go mad, and then of course there was the viral moment in the second leg with her phone and Katie McCabe and all that, and now she plays for Chelsea, which is very, very funny. But yes, overall, I'm happy with the Champions Cup. That was a big opportunity, because I thought we'll never get this opportunity again in a long time, because it involves winning the Champions League. We've got that. We have that claim. It's up there with us being the first English team to win the European Cup. We were the first English women's team to win the Champions Cup as well, the FIFA Champions Cup. Great. But the season was a failure. It was a failure and a missed opportunity. I don't blame Lionesses Vegas for this. I think she's a good young manager. You can't fake winning a Champions League. You can't bluff winning a Champions League. You have to have something about you to do that.
Substance there.
Talk to Emma Hayes. She's a very good manager, and she didn't do it. But I think it's always like we got to be in a position next season to challenge properly, and it's all going to be about how this rebuild goes over summer. Because if we get this rebuild wrong, then we will plummet like a stone. I truly believe that, and
Okay.
we've got to get this right, because yeah, this team's been running on fumes for the last 10 years, 12, 6 years of the same players being there. I think since the 2019 side now, with all the players that parted, just Kim Little and Leah Williamson remain. And she's been another major loss. We should just say Leah Williamson basically wrote off this entire season to win the Euros over the summer. And she's just not been fit for the entirety of the season. We've had to patch and mend, and a lot of women boys come in. And like Adina's played games. We've had Steph Catley at centre back, McCabe at centre back, and all sorts. We've missed Leah Williamson. We badly missed her, and we need a fitly fit Leah Williamson. And we should have a shout out to our ACLs. We lost Michelle Adjumang to an ACL. She's now back walking again. We lost Katie Reid to an ACL. She was having a really promising breakthrough season at centre back, and then her ACL went, and that was her season gone. So it's not been about misfortune, but it was a missed opportunity, and that's the real shame. When you look at the record, we only lost one game. And like with Jonas in 22, we didn't win the league, and we only lost one game. And it's the draws. It's those stupid draws.
And it's just, and again, just hearing the second is a failure, and to people outside of that bubble, that might sound a bit extreme.
Yeah, I know. No, for you, it's
for you, like you're saying, it was a missed opportunity, and of course the way City were playing, it just because there was that moment, wasn't there, where obviously City found out they'd won the league because there was that draw at Brighton. So really, for next season, it's sorting those draws out, isn't it? And that's that next step forward.
But that's the thing. So I looked at where we stood last season, and it's basically we've closed the gap, but the gap has been closed by converting our defeats to draws. We've won the same. I think we've calculated we won the same amount of games as we did last season. The difference is we had almost all our defeats, bar one, were converted into draws. So there is a slight improvement there. But people were saying, oh, Arsenal, they're sitting with a title chance. I'm thinking, look, I know there's 1,000 games in hand. We're not going to win the league. There's so much has to happen. I know that the Brighton win gave the illusion that maybe Arsenal could catch him, but we would have had to have marathoned it, and we just didn't have the squad, the legs, and the form to do it. And Brighton are surprise again. Brighton are a good side. I was there for the draw. They were a good team. We did not turn up in the first half. We just don't have a team that can go and run the course like City had won the league by Christmas, pretty much. Or February time. They had put on the run that just meant, right, you won the league, now you've just got to seal it off and just get as many wins as you the amount of wins that you need. And they just there was a bit of a tail off in form towards the end, but they got themselves over the line. They'd done all the hard work early in the season. We'd left it way too late. Yes, we had a great run of form, as we always seem to do in the new year, but it was too late because City had a lead. It's about getting those draws. It's about getting those wins. And I'm hoping with fresh players in, with a fresh mentality, build the squad that Renee Slagers needs, actually back it, because too many of these squads are built of, they're from Pedro, they're from Joe Montemuro, they're from Jonas Eideveld, they're from Shelley Kerr, they're from Vic Akers. There are players you can put pins in almost every single Arsenal manager, apart from Terry Howard, and say that player played under them. It is such a mishmash. It just needs it right. What is the Arsenal team going to be for the next 10 years? Let's build this Arsenal team and let's go for it. And let's try and win the WSL. We haven't done it since 2019. It's way too long. And it's way too long for Arsenal to have not won the FA Cup. We haven't won the FA Cup in over 10 years, which when you think about the previous 10 years, or 10 years before 2016, and compared to now, again, it's an Arsenal club. Maybe we're thinking above our station, but an Arsenal club should be challenging on all four fronts. It should be winning at least one of them every season. And the FA Cup is a massive miss in our trophy cabinet that we have passed up too many times. And we've done it again this season by losing to, Brighton. And another bogey side. Again, I was there for that game and I was like, yeah, we deserve to lose. We were rubbish and Brighton deserved to win. We need to be able to, we need to win another proper major trophy, because the FIFA Champions Cup is not on the menu next season. That's gone. That's not happening again. Barcelona are in that competition now. So yeah, bring on next season.
Yeah, so people from Arsenal, if you are listening, Adam wants at least one trophy next season, please.
Yes,
That's what
100%.
he wants to bring home.
I want them on the bus. I want them on the trophy bus being paraded around the North London, waving some silverware related. It won't be the sub cup. Sub cup's off the menu now. We're in Europe, so no sub cup for us. So
Yes,
Champions
of
League,
course,
FA Cup, or
Euros. Yes.
WSL. So yeah, that's it. You've
All
got
I'm
3 trophies
saying,
to go
as
for.
someone who was in North London for the Arsenal parade, can we not?
I wasn't there.
I
So
had
listen,
to find you
But you
to choose
survived,
during
Paul.
the
You
Arsenal
survived.
parade.
see, you were there, Paul. I wasn't. I was having to work out on track in searing heat, so I missed all the festivities. I'd catch up when I got back.
Oh, I
But
got the fearing heat experience when we piled onto a train because London Bridge was shut. So I got to walk across London Bridge and was doing the wide-eyed provincial thing with my
well,
South London friend. It's like, that's Tower Bridge and that's HMS Belfast. And
we didn't try to con you to think that an American businessman accidentally bought London Bridge, thinking it was Tower Bridge, because it's an urban myth. It's not true.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
everyone heard that one. But yeah,
I was at Wembley, just in case anyone was.
Oh, okay.
I was at Wembley that day. We won't
Yeah.
mention
Right.
why.
I might have walked past you at some point because we passed more Brighton fans than Man City fans.
Yeah, there were a lot of Arsenal fans on the trains and stuff up to London, though. So it was a real mishmash of FA Cup
It was
attendees.
good. It was great fun being on the tube because, firstly, Bank and Monument Station is really effing stupid, TFL, because you shouldn't have to walk outside of an underground station to change lines in the same station.
You don't. You just got to follow the right tunnels. I used to work in that tube station, and I had to walk through it at night in the summer. And let me tell you, it gets hot. And it is a labyrinth, but you can navigate it all without ever going topside. You just got to follow the right path in
Apparently,
the
the
tunnels.
tunnel was shut, so they sent us back outside. So we got.
Well, that's different. If they've closed the tunnel, then it's different.
we got
It's possible when it's open. Yes.
That was when we
all
got to
tunnels are
walk
open.
past the rudest street name in Britain.
What? Tower Hill.
Which is. See, this is where last week I saw Linda waiting for this. Anyone? It's the street where ladies of leisure in medieval periods used to hang out.
Oh, our favourite street. Yes.
Our favourite street that is named Grope, certain part of the Anatomy Lane.
Oh, Quality Street.
You never know what you're going to get. Right. Okay. Let's do this. It is 12:05, and we still have some clubs to go through. So
anyway,
what we're going to do, we're going to put time limits on it. Okay, so because we don't have, of course, any other fan in-depth looks, we're literally going to put the club on the screen. We will nominate someone to talk about their season, and
I just want to quickly say, because you were asking questions, my underrated player for the season for Arsenal.
Oh yes, sorry, yes.
Annika Borba. I want to give a shout out to her
as
the goalkeeper.
Yes, she did so well. Yeah.
I was there for a first friendly game at Spurs, and I thought, who have we signed? I don't get this. And then she didn't play for half a season, and we're all very confused. And as it turned out, we signed her and she'd been injured, and that explained a lot. Came in the second half of the season because Daphne seems to be permanently injured now, and Borba came in and was solid. Had a really good game in the FIFA Cup final. Was very unlucky to not be allowed of a trophy presentation because she'd been knocked out in the last 3 seconds. Had one of the saves of the season against Manchester United, which was brilliant. So I want to tip my hat to Borba, and I look forward to seeing her and Daphne hopefully both be fully fit for next season. But yeah, Borba's my underrated player of the season.
But yeah, no, that's a fantastic shout. Yeah, because again, for goalkeepers, it's really hard to step up into that moment, isn't it? So the fact that she did it and did it very well was phenomenal indeed. Yes, right. Paul, I say we'll nominate each other. No, I'll nominate. Paul, you've got 2.5 minutes on Chelsea's season. Go third.
Well, this is Chelsea. Disappointing for Chelsea.
Yes, I agree.
And is this the season we saw the handing over of the crown for Chelsea? Because Chelsea fans really don't like Sonia Bonpasta, from what I can gather.
No, there's been a shift, hasn't there? Yes.
There has been something of a shift. 2 losses at home at Stamford Bridge / Kings Meadow, which is something we wouldn't have talked about for a long while. 4 draws away from home as well. And you know, when your top goal scorers only get 7 each, and Alyssa Thompson was probably their big signing last summer, and I've seen her being put in teams of the season. I think if we're talking about overrated players, she's definitely one. Because I just haven't been that impressed with her compared to players like Sandy Baltimore. Then, of course, Champions League, they lost to some other team in London. And there was controversy aplenty. But I remember we did the live watch along of that second leg, and it was absolutely ridiculous. I thought we were going to see the first heart attack live on stream because Adam was just getting more and more tense.
I should just say on that one that Chelsea should have scored about 3 or 4 goals before they finally put the ball in the net. And hats off to Daphne, had the best game of her season. Some of the stuff she was doing in that game was ridiculous.
There were some incredible saves. And this summer is going to be interesting because Sam Kerr is saying farewell.
Yes.
We don't
Bright's
know
retired.
who they're going to up front as well. And I think we might see Chelsea's beginning to slide back down because I think they need a big summer, and they're not going to have it all their own way next season. All the big names are being linked with Man City and Arsenal because the likes of Stanway, Batcher, you'd expect Chelsea to be in for, and they just haven't gone. They were supposed to be in for Felicia Schroeder, but that's kind of gone quiet as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So I don't know. I know there's a strong Chelsea presence on the pod, but I'm checking my bedroom window to make sure Rosie doesn't appear outside.
Well, Kai was meant to be joining us, but they are away for work, and as we know, Wi-Fi is very temperamental away from home.
But also, I will say with Chelsea as well, it's always a good sign when your biggest signing of the summer annoys half your own fan base. Because the Kate McCabe signing hasn't gone down very well with Chelsea fans, really.
I would say there's plenty of
No, it's
Chelsea
been
fans who are
interesting,
loving it. Now, I think there are Chelsea fans who like it because they're seeing it as a one-up over Arsenal. They're seeing it as like, we got one of your lot, this is great. We can use this to sort of mock Arsenal fans. I don't care because I was never a big McCabe fan. I'm an Arsenal fan. I like the fact she played for my club. She's gone. Okay, great. I know there are Arsenal fans who are taking it a lot more personally and expressing that in different ways. So there will be that sort of rival boundary. But I know that she was not, especially after the Champions League game, she was not liked by Chelsea fans with her. So and so forth. So that will be interesting how that one plays out. Certainly, it's interesting because you're buying players like McCabe is not she's not a young player coming up into her prime. She's at her, you would say probably at her peak at the moment. So you're going to get a few good seasons out of her, but she's not going to get any better from where she is because that's just where her trajectory is at the moment. So it's a curious signing from Chelsea. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, because just looking at obviously Sam Kerr's leaving, but Liz Thompson obviously 7 goals there. Lauren James 5 with 4 assists. Aggie Beaver Jones 4 goals, 1 assist. Sandy Baltimore, who signed a contract extension, 3 goals. Lots of players on 2 and 1, and then the majority of first team players who we've seen play a decent amount of minutes. There's only been 5 players who haven't scored. One of those being Hannah Hampton. So they have got goals coming from all over the pitch, but without Sam Kerr, I think you are going to see that drop off. So it'll be interesting to see who they do bring in.
We should also highlight the departure of Paul Green, which is massive for
yes,
Chelsea.
has been huge. Yes,
probably to London City.
Well, the thing with that is obviously they're run by this
That's
Blue Co
huge,
group, and I don't think Chelsea fans have confidence in Blue Co. Certainly look at the men's side and what's happening there.
Yeah.
As an Arsenal fan, when Arsenal won the league 9 times in a row, the drop off was as great as the glory was. The drop off is usually equal or greater. What we saw then after we failed to win the league was we actually dropped to 4th. We had a disastrous season, and we ended up just sort of tanking and falling out of European contention and drifting along in 3rd place. Nothing much has changed, you could say. So there is a potential for Chelsea, which having had that 6th league run, it just it's the rebound. It's the rebound from that, and we may see them fall away. And as an Arsenal fan, great, but I think I think Paul's right. We could be seeing a changing of the guard. We could be seeing a shuffling of the pack. So we'll see how that plays out next season. If Sonia, if it happens again with them losing 5-1 at Manchester City and all those silly results, losing at home to Everton, I don't know how long the fans will take that.
Indeed.
And that's going to be that next big question. Indeed,
Very,
yes.
very, very swiftly. Most underrated player.
Oh yes.
Look out for Brooke Aspin next season when hopefully she actually gets to step up and start playing, because she was superb at Bristol City and then moved to Chelsea and just disappeared.
She
basically.
was, yes.
But in terms of player who's played, to give her full name, Berlatuska Jana Roos Borman is unquestionably picked for underrated player of the season.
Yes.
She is a star in the making defensively.
At 19 years old as well. So yes, lots becoming there. And also Aggie and Myra rumoured to be leaving as well.
I mean, that's mad. That means they've got no striker. If you lose Aggie, Ramirez has obviously been injured, I guess. They're going to have a forward, which is crazy.
Millie Bright, second act of Millie Bright's career. I'll stick her up front from the start of the game as opposed to in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, she says she's retired. Actually, she's going to come back, and that's going to be a new role. So that was Chelsea in a nutshell. Right, talked about United. Right, Spurs. Next up, Spurs. Would anyone like to have a quick 2 minutes about Spurs this season, finishing 5th? I think that was higher than a lot of people would have said, really.
What I would say on Spurs,
just a bit, not much, but
just a bit. Well, it won't be a bit because I don't know much about them. But what I can say is this is typical. This is typical Spurs. Is you get your new manager in, they go boom, really good first season, like with Robert Bellahal. But everyone goes, oh wow, Spurs are back. This is it's they're going to challenge. They're going to go out and they got a draw against Arsenal, got a result in the Northern Derby against Arsenal. This is a really good Spurs team. They're going to get, and then what will happen is that they'll last for about just over half a season. Then they get figured out. Then we obviously back them at Emirates Stadium 5-2. And then what will happen is next season, probably, we'll see, it could be as it was under Robert Bellahal and Ryan Skinner. They turn off and they're struggling down a second, blow half the table, and then Martin Howe moves on and had to get somebody else in. We do see this a lot with Spurs. It's every other season they have a really good one, and this is their good one. You have to say, though, fair play to them. 5th place in the league. That's a good, solid season. And I think Manchester United fans will say Martin Howe is a pretty good coach. So it's good. And I think they're already making some good moves in the window. I think there's some good players coming in. So
yes, very much. And it feels like they're really building something. I know a lot of clubs kind of say it, but it feels like Martin Hall's very much on the front foot, and he's talking a lot about it, and he seems really kind of part of the club, see him as part of their future, and it's not just you're going to get us out of this hole or anything like that. It feels like they're very much intertwined for what they're going to do.
Villa Vegetation gets lots of pelts from Spurs fans, and rightly so. However, we know as Arsenal fans he's very big on the women's team, and I would imagine he'll be pushing a lot for the women's team. And may I recommend, please, can you be an North London derby at the Tottenham Hotspur Toilet Bowl and not at Brisbane Road? Please don't prioritise boxing over women's football. Please.
Yes, needs to be said. Women's football deserves that big stage. Yes, absolutely.
I think the 2 signings they've announced as well are really good, shrewd signings. Or well, Kirsty Hansen hasn't been announced yet, but such is the way of the
rumours are pointing.
Yeah, to it, exactly. I've said before, there's not that much money in women's transfer rumours. So if there's a proper sort of nailed on source for the rumour, it generally turns out to be true. So if that happens, that's a great move. And then obviously Shakira Martinez as well. So that's two
Martinez, yes.
2 well-known goal scorers in this league, and they've got them both. So that's
on top of your Olivia Holtz, your obviously they're not going to have Beth England anymore. I personally do think Beth England should go up to Villa, but that's do a swap there.
Could happen.
But yeah, Katinka Tamberg, she's had a brilliant season. Gobset coming in. I don't think Gobset, as much as she's had we praised her during the Euros, didn't we? And we said, oh, she's going to be brilliant. And I think she's she's quietly gone about her business. I think there hasn't been as much focus on her as there has been with Tamberg and Holt. I don't think, but again, she's a player. 3 goals, 1 assist, so probably not the best outcome. But she has only played 11 matches through injury, so again that kind of weighs up. But yeah, been really impressed by Spurs this season. So with those signings, if they keep going and putting the money in, you know, could they again be challenging properly for those top spots next season? Never know, do we? Right. Okay. Anything else about Spurs before we move on? From anyone? No. Cool.
No.
Right. Talked about London City. Talked about Brighton, Everton. Right. Okay. Now we do actually have some notes. I have some notes from our Chloe Bear, who was at work this evening. That's why she couldn't join us. So she says, trying to sum up Everton's season is tough because it's been quite turbulent, but there's many highs and many lows through that. Before the season started, we lost a huge number of players, signed 8 brand new ones that took a while to gel together. Seems like ages ago that, doesn't it, when there was that huge exodus from Everton. Of course, saying goodbye to Arbry was tough. She says, he's someone who I love, who was nothing but nice to everyone, and you could tell how much he loved the club and the players as well. Scott Phelan then came in charge, who knew the club, but Chloe's still not sure if he's right for that role. Rumours are that he was, or has it actually happened and I've missed it, that he's actually going to take on the job permanently. So season highlight for Chloe, win against Chelsea at Kingsmeadow. No one expected us to do that. Also loved seeing us finally win at Goodison Park. New home for the team, of course. And the toffee donuts was a highlight for Chloe as well. Had the lows in the season, you know, a huge run of losses, threat of relegation at one point. Again, that first part of the season, there were quite a few clubs floating around that bottom part, Villa being one of them as well. And you just thought, where's this positivity gonna come from? Standout players, Courtney Brosnan, of course, Claire Wheeler getting her first goal for the club, and Tony Payne as well, doing incredible things. And she says, next season, hoping we can sign more players, get more players back fit and playing consistently, and aim for a top 6 finish. So that is from our Chloe Bear. Right, and obviously Ruby Mace. Can we just have a moment for Ruby Mace? What she's done for Everton this season. Still not sure why she's in the England team. Yeah, us neither. She's one of the players that we always hope, don't we, when the England lists are announced that she's going to be on them. But yeah, top goal scorers there, Hayashi and Gargo on 4. So as we go through the top scorers, we're suddenly starting to see that drop off. Oh, I'm now echoing.
No, you're echoing.
Who's on my echoing on? Don't know. Oops. Okay.
It ain't me. So
It's all right now.
It's all right now? Perfect. Okay,
Oh,
there we go. Right, so we've only got 2 teams left then we'll let everyone go to bed. Okay, we've got West Ham up next. Obviously, they have a new manager in Rita Guarino. Top goal scorer Shakira Martinez, who is now not there, who has been signed by Spurs. 5 wins in the whole campaign, 4 draws, 13 losses. And at one point, it was just West Ham and Liverpool piggybacking each other, wasn't it, for an extra point and who's going to get there. And fortunately for them, it was Leicester who fell foul. So yeah, has anyone got any thoughts on West Ham they want to share for this season?
7 goals away from home.
Yeah.
Just other than West Ham fan.
Yeah.
We are going to focus on the women's team at the moment. West Ham are in an absolute mess at the moment with just everything at the club, and we don't have enough time to go into everything. But we say with the women's team is, I mean, I always think that one of the biggest scandals of West Ham is they don't play at Stratford. And yes. I think that's a lot about the way you got that corner, and you I know they played 1 game there. As an Arsenal fan, I've watched us play West Ham, and we battered them both times. Martinez was such a brilliant player in the second half of the previous season. I know that she's a top scorer this season, but 6 goals over a whole season, that's not the Martinez we saw
scoring goals, I think, from the halfway line against Palace, and she was scoring against us, and she looked like it was like unbelievable find. I think did we say Spurs have signed her now?
Yes. Yeah.
So she's now gone. So West Ham are in even more of a mess, and I think some of the bigger hitters have gone as well. I think there was the captain, I can't remember the Australian player whose name escapes
Katrina
me.
Gorry.
Katrina Gorry. So Katrina Gorry, I believe she's gone.
Yes.
So I don't know. West Ham I had West Ham or Liverpool being one of the teams we relegated. Unfortunately, fortunately for them, Leicester City just went off a cliff. They had a few good points and they just sunk. I don't know what happened. It's like they turned the lights off in the building and the whole club just went thwonk. And so basically they stayed up by default. I see them only going one way, and I just see it as inevitability. I think it's a shame because it's a club of heritage, but I just don't think they're going anywhere fast. Well, they are going one way fast, and it's not up. And I just think with the clubs that are coming up, there's Birmingham, Crystal Palace, and Charlton, who come for the playoffs. I just think a lot of these WSL2 clubs are going to be better than what we're offering. And, more clubs are going to stay up than go down next season. So we'll see what happens there. But I think it's a poor season, and I think I'm not seeing any redeeming features. It's going to go any different next season. Yeah, and it's hard, isn't it? Because West Ham obviously didn't start well, and then obviously new manager, and you think, right, there's going to be maybe a bit of a bounce like there usually is, and there kind of was an attitude, I think, maybe not in results. And then again, they were kind of doing things here and there, and it didn't look ever convincing, did it? But you'd find like a Save, she'd make some lovely runs and had some lovely attempts, and but then nothing could ever really come from it, or it would once in a blue moon. And it just there needs to be a vital shift, I think, for West Ham to get back in and amongst it, because this season was just a write-off, wasn't it? And the men's team are relegated now. They're in the Championship. So
of course,
anything. If our friend Charlton friend is still in the comments, he'll know when the Charlton men got relegated, the women's team were almost written off. They survived by the skin of their teeth. I don't think it will happen to West Ham. The outrage would be huge if they even tried to do that, and I don't think they're in that financial mess. But you can't deny the fact that being a Championship will weaken their ability to operate in the WSL.
Yeah, because again, kind of coming back to Durham, what we're saying about funding and what you need to actually keep a team going at WSL2 level, never mind WSL level. And Tom agrees the 2017 was basically finished. So we just hope that whatever's happening with United as a West Ham United as a club, that the women's team just get what they need to get themselves in order, and don't drop any lower. But
the details of some of it are horrific, because apparently, we now know why the owners and the people running the club haven't had any contact with the women's team since 2023, and it's all.
Oh God, that article that came out,
Without going into it, go and if you haven't found out already, just go and search West Ham owners.
Absolutely, it's a discussion. We haven't got the time to go into the whole depth of it, but the allegations are horrific.
No, definitely not.
And I hope that the justice is served in when the trial happens. So,
we do, absolutely. And again, we often talk about clubs being like broken higher up, don't we? And I think that just really puts it to the forefront that these things have been allowed to happen for a long time, and how much has that affected what is then going on emotionally. So definitely a season to forget for West Ham. Liverpool, however, had a strange one. I know we've got I don't know where I was going with that thought then, am I? Liverpool finishing in 11th, which, considering what they had, how they started the season, we all thought, is there going to be a relegation battle? And then, of course, as they got through and there was that shift, wasn't there? And again, I genuinely thought that they would finish above West Ham. For how that panned out. But has anyone got any thoughts on Liverpool that they want to share?
I mean, many, but unfortunately, we don't have time for it. What I will say is, I was convinced that Liverpool would get relegated. We had our
Actually relegated.
yeah, well, with our friend on a Manchester City friend who didn't speak well of Gareth Taylor, and I don't blame him. And I was surprised that Liverpool went for him. And the way that I was after they lost, I think it was 9-1. I think it was. Or was it in the Sub Cup against Chelsea? Was it in the or in the quarterfinals? Was it? I think they got battered in one of the competitions. And I thought he's surely going to be sacked over Christmas. He wasn't. He was kept on, and fair enough, he kept them up. I would say a lot of the owes to the players they brought in the winter. Mainly Jennifer Falk. What a signing she was as a goalkeeper.
She was incredible.
No, she's a high quality goalkeeper, but she's not staying at the club. She's going back over to the Swedish league, to the Damallsvenskan, if I pronounce that correctly. They made some good moves there and got some good players in, and they kept them up. But the problem is what do Liverpool want to be? Do they want to be a side that just stays in the WSL and it's about battling relegation, or do they want to be pushing higher? Because a club of Liverpool's name, I mean, we say this is Manchester United, this is Liverpool. Now, history of Liverpool is actually, apart from a brief moment when they won the WSL back-to-back, they've typically been a yo-yo club. Before the WSL, they were yo-yoing between the Premier League and the Northern Division. In the WSL, they've been relegated, they've been promoted. They had 2 seasons when they were WSL champions, and other than that, they just sort of yo-yo about. And I just think it's unacceptable for a club of Liverpool's name to have a women's team that can't do what the men's team do, and that is push for Europe, get into push for titles. Seeing them in a relegation battle is criminal, and I think I don't have any faith. I mean, Gareth Taylor will say, "Oh, it's injuries and squads and players and blah blah blah." But the problem is, where's the ambition from Liverpool? What is it Liverpool want to do? Do they want to make the best? When they had 2 years when they thought we'll have the best women's team in the country, and then they just didn't bother with that. And then they had 1 season under Matt Beard where they looked like they might be able to potentially have a slight punt at Europe. And after that, they just sort of put their feet up and stopped bothering again. It baffles me that they can't have a really strong women's team like Chelsea, like Arsenal, like Manchester City, and I will say it, Manchester United. Despite what we may say Manchester United, they actually do have a very good women's team. They're in Europe. Seeing Liverpool in 11th is criminal. It's a wretched season for them, and if they are celebrating the fact that they're staying with WSL, or just they stayed up by default because, like with West Ham, Leicester City fell off a cliff. If Leicester City hadn't fallen off a cliff, Liverpool would be relegated, and it would have been deserved, because I just don't think that the club have once again got bored of the women's team, and if they don't butt their ideas up, Charlton, Birmingham, and Crystal Palace will overtake them. Saying that, they got to an FA Cup semi-final. So
it shows the potential that team has.
And they nearly won it as well.
But that game, they were I know, just go bring it back. They were 2-0 up against Brighton, and they collapsed. At home. I would be stunned.
And I think that sums up the season, though, doesn't it? The potential, the good intentions, and then just can't hold on to it.
Lord knows what's going to happen next season, but if they don't get the players in right, and if Taylor, I'll be surprised if Taylor lasts the entire season. But if it goes again with them in a relegation battle, I don't see them escaping this next time. It'd be them or West Ham to be relegated next season. That's my prediction.
Yeah, because of course, as we spoke about earlier, relegation and playoff. But again, their top goal scorer, Beata Olsen, she only played 16 games this season through injury. Kerry Holland scored 3, Mia Enderby scored 3, Kapok scored 2. And then you've got a couple of players on 1, and that's it. So they haven't been able to find the back of the net this season, and it feels like especially that first half, as we mentioned, was quite stifled, and they did look a bit lost, didn't they? So let's hope the potential and the rhythm they had in that second half of the season carries is where they start at the beginning of next season after a good window. Right then, home straight. Let's do it. Unfortunately, our team at the bottom of the table is Leicester City. I know this is the one Tom's been looking forward to, because he gets to say that they beat them in the playoff. And it was just, as Adam said, just completely fell off a cliff. Just awful season. However, we will praise someone in particular, Shannon O'Brien, top goal scorer with 5 goals. but yeah, Paul, I mean, we've talked a bit about it, especially during our watch along, didn't we, about what's next for Leicester. But do you think, could they have done anything differently, or do you think this season was just mentally and physically, it was just too much?
They were just crap. Like
Yeah.
it sums it up that in our
In a
graphic,
few words, that's it.
it sums it up in our graphic. We've got a typo because we can't even.
I didn't even notice that.
What
We
we done?
Leicester, say.
Oh, okay.
You know,
This-
It's-
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
okay, fair
It's
enough.
okay.
Leicester have just had a nightmarish season.
But again, that reflects Leicester's season. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's the owners, the ownership as well doesn't care that much. Shannon
No.
O'Brien deserves so much better than Leicester City.
Yes.
And I'm not
So
upset.
Yeah.
Ideally, she
WSL
should be
clubs.
wearing this shirt,
Yeah.
but we don't have a team. So
No.
I was actually going to say earlier
I was
that I
stunned
think
that Rick
Leicester.
Passmore got the gig. This is nothing personal against Rick Passmore, but if you want to get an idea, Rick Passmore was managing Leeds United to a Women's FA Cup final in 2008. You know, I'm just saying,
been around a long time.
is he a manager that can manage at the top level in English football? You know, he was managing like Notts County when they existed to cup finals. I don't know if he is of a WSL caliber manager now. I think I've heard from people who suggested what Leicester City actually wanted to do was get Matt Beard in. That didn't happen, and then obviously what happened, which was obviously very tragic. I think the Leicester City are a club that are in an absolute mess. The men have gone for a double relegation. They're now in League One. You're now seeing, I think, the fallout of that with the women's team. The women's team have sort of sunk. I don't wish ill upon. I try not to wish ill upon teams out of spiteness, but I feel in the playoff the right team won. I think it would have been a travesty if Charlton Athletic, who had led the season for so long, had gone into the final day of the season top of the championship, and in a season where up to 3 teams were trying to get promoted, for them not to be promoted from that would have been a travesty. It took extra time in penalties and for an amazing performance from the goalkeeper, the Irish goalkeeper, whose name has escaped me. But Leicester City did not.
Katie Keane.
And was it Katie Keane? What for Charlton? Was it Katie
Oh no,
Keane for
Sophie
Charlton?
Whitehouse. Sophie Whitehouse. Sorry.
Sophie Whitehouse, thank you. Amazing for Sophie Whitehouse in the penalty shootout to win it for them. But Leicester City did not deserve to stay in with WSL. They did not deserve to stay in WSL. And you're right, Shannon O'Brien deserved better. They brought some star players in. They brought Rachel Williams in. Okay, she's a rescue act for Manchester United. She's not going to be a rescue act for Leicester City. It's just not going to happen. Leicester City will drop down. They could easily drop down again. There are fears it could be another Reading. We see what happened there. If the funding dries up, because we know Leicester City are quite a lot of issues now, and they're not going to get the top funding anymore. This was almost an inevitability. When it's one of those ones that when like the snowball coming down the mountain, it was pretty clear they were getting relegated about Christmas time. Well, just after Christmas, when you saw that they stopped winning matches, it was like, yeah, they're gone. They're gone. It's a shame.
Two wins all seasons, just nowhere near
criminal.
good enough, is it? Hannah Kane is off
Hannah Kane,
as well. She's officially leaving.
And I always thought Leicester tried to do the right thing. They had all the games at the King Power Stadium, and I thought that's absolutely right. They were trying to do the right things. It just never translated into anything on the pitch, sadly. And they're now no longer with us. So.
What were you going to say?
Duncan, what were you going to say, mate?
I was going to say that obviously being a sort of Midlands or at least Midlands adjacent, that I think Villa could do with 2 or 3 of Leicester's players. I think there's a couple that could make a big impact if they were in a better side. Shannon O'Brien's one. I'd have her at Brighton if she was willing to come down south. I also think, is it Olivia McLaughlin or
Liv McLaughlin? Yeah, she was with us initially.
Right, so there you go. So there's another one, because obviously she's a young Lioness now, and I think every club outside of the top 4, if you can't get a Lioness, to me the next best thing is a future Lioness. So there's one to bring back, and then maybe someone like Sam Tierney would be a good rotational option. A long time, lots of WSL experience and stuff. I think there are some players there who could redeem themselves, definitely, in a better team, but they're probably not quite good enough to bring a team with them. They need to be brought along by the team a little bit. So I think it was right that they were relegated. They weren't good enough. They weren't good enough in the playoff. I thought they would probably win the playoff, and I thought they would win the playoff fairly comfortably. And that's no disrespect to Charlton. Charlton beat Brighton in the Subway Cup earlier this season. It was just, I just thought the WSL club would go in with so much confidence and so much like, kind of, we're going to steamroller them. And actually, it looked like Charlton were the team who kind of came out with that attitude of like, well, we're going to win this game, aren't we? Whereas Leicester went, oh, for God's sake, please don't lose this game, please, please, please. And it was like that just told on the pitch in the end. So they didn't
Mick Passmore say afterwards, well, that was what we expected.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And you just think you can't go into a game like that where it's literally you leave everything on the pitch. Or relegation, like that's literally it, one or the other. You can't go into it like anything less than 100% of we're going to win. If you have any doubt, then you have already lost, in a sense, haven't you, with that one? But yeah, we agree. We were doing the watch along, and Charlton just came out so quick and so fast, and you thought, yeah, they want it more. And ultimately, they did it. And of course, Sophie Whitehouse, we mentioned, was incredible. And, I mean, if Tom's saying this, put it this way, I was more confident against Leicester than I was any WSL2 club during the season. And I think that shows it. That absolutely shows where Leicester's confidence was at that point.
Could we shout out the WSL playoff? What a brilliant addition that is to the WSL.
Yeah.
I love a playoff. I think we've given the WSL the whatever they call it, their organisation a lot of pelters because they've made some bonkers decisions, poor decisions, 12 o'clock kickoffs on Sundays and all that nonsense. But WSL relegation playoffs, absolutely count me in, and hope for more in seasons to come. That was a really good idea. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I really hope that stays, because then it's more jeopardy, it's more chance of somebody else, and you just think, yes, that's what this league needs.
Absolutely.
And speaking of what the league needs, it's also what we need, which is to go to bed.
Indeed.
Thank you to everyone who has joined us this evening, whether as a guest, whether in the chat. It's been I think this is the longest one we've ever done, and that's saying something, considering we've also done watch-alongs. But yeah, it's been phenomenal, and we hope it's been the end to the season that everyone wanted to see. So yeah. One more thing, the men's coverage does start tomorrow, so make sure you tune in if you can. If you're interested, of course, we're doing the majority of the decent timed ones. We probably won't be doing the 3 a.m. ones, but you never know. It is us, so who knows? We might pop up one morning. If you can't sleep, we might be on. But of course, Tom, as a Charlton fan, says, "See you next season, up the Addicts." So yes, of course, next season we have said goodbye officially to Leicester City, and we will be welcoming Birmingham City, Charlton and Crystal Palace into the WSL. But yeah, Duncan, thank you so much for joining us this evening for this marathon. Where can people find more of your Brighton content during the season, please?
Yeah, if all you can remember is She Goals, that will do, because it's shegoals.com and at She Goals on most of the socials and stuff. But if you can't find us that way, just type in She Goals and it will almost certainly come up. So yeah, looking forward to the off season and a few larks and scrapes to get us through to September when it all starts again.
I know, when the madness begins, yes. And thank you to Adam and Paul as well. Thank you both for joining us. Yes, all earned a well-deserved sleep. So once again, apologies for the technical issues at the beginning, but we got there. We got there in the end, and we have officially signed. Wait, no, we haven't, because we have a WSL2 review show. We haven't got a date for that yet because of the men's stream. So do keep an eye out on our socials for when we will be hosting that one. But it will be very, very soon. So yes, so until then, until our WSL2 review show, where we'll officially sign off for the season. Thank you, good evening, and when I put the right outro video on, I will say good night. Bye, guys.